Cheers.
Cheers. All right. Welcome to Two Bears, One Bar. I'm Tony Saputo.
I'm Andy Princey.
And this is the first episode of Two Bears, One Bar podcast. Brought to you by Una Vida and Scofflaw Times. Pretty much our whole goal for this is really just bringing in a lot of cool boozy personalities, whether it be a bartender or owners, brand ambassadors, probably even some musicians I might try to sneak in every once in a while. But really the whole goal is to give you guys a 3D image of what's going on, not only St. Louis, but just in the drinking community, and for you to really get a chance to get to know these people. With the exception of a couple, maybe 1 or 2 page spreads here and there, like you really don't get to know what these people are about, what they think about, and like what else they have going on besides pretty much the industry itself. So this is just really a way to illustrate how to make. Let me rephrase that. It's a really good way to illustrate just an actual whole person. A lot of the bartenders I know, they have a lot of really interesting lives that no one really knows about. I did my whole stint in astrophysics. Andy is an ex-Marine.
No such thing.
Right, sorry. Not ex-Marine, but resting Marine? What do you call it?
Yeah, very resting. Very resting. At ease.
At ease. We know a couple guys at Sasha's that are cage dancers, so.
Now I do.
That works as well.
I didn't know them before.
Yeah.
So with us today, Zach Conley, founder of Una Vida Tequila.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. We're glad to have you. Lucky to have you. Also, somewhat of a partaker or owner, founder of Scofflaw Times.
Hey. Yep.
We're doubling up, kissing ass.
Can you accept that one?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, owner of Scofflaw Times. How much is that worth on the market?
Not
Okay,
yet.
yeah.
We'll send you a bill.
Yeah, no kidding.
But not only your brand, Tony represents brands as well, and you work for.
I work for a Hotel Tango distillery out of Indianapolis. Really great. It's just a great company all around. And it's the first combat disabled veteran-owned distillery in America. So Travis did 3 stints. On the third one, he came back home, unfortunately injured. Honorable discharge, but he got into distilling tequila. I'm not going to get super into the story because we're going to end up having him up here eventually.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So,
how'd you get hooked up with them? Is it something you saw, or they have sought you?
No, it was kind of like the with the COVID things going on. I kind of left my current position and just kept kind of went around everywhere. Me and the lady decided that if I could get a job that I'd actually really really love, we would move. So I applied in Kentucky. I applied in Indianapolis because I don't know if you've been in Indianapolis, but I've been going there since I was 16, since I was playing music. So I've seen that city grow over the past 22 years. And me and the lady like it a lot, and I just applied to them randomly. And they just called me and pretty much said, we don't know if we want you to go in Indiana, but,
we're not ready for you yet.
we need someone in St. Louis. And we think you might be the guy. So, I snuck some samples out of Lore with Patty, and the juice was great. Product's awesome. And I was like, yeah, I could.
Which would also be somebody cool to bring in at one point, Patty from Lore.
Yeah,
we just
Patty.
Subtly mentioned that she is a legend in our industry in her own right.
McDonald is,
and the fact that you're sneaking samples out.
well, I'm not really sneaking them, but I wanted to taste it before
We'll take that out in post.
Don't take it out. Pay's not sneaking anything out. Pay can do whatever she wants.
She is, yes. She's the face of.
Yeah, they know it. Yeah.
You got a favorite of those products? They're not just whiskey. They have more.
Yeah, we do vodka gin, limoncello, orangecello, our own bourbon, and then the cherry liqueur. My favorite one to show people is the cherry liqueur, just because it's such an outstanding spirit. It's pretty much unlike anything else on the market, and I really think that's their biggest shot for the fences. It's just so well made. And then really I'm just interested to see what they have coming up next too.
And I've tasted the cherry. It's like if you use cherry herring, I feel like it's not just cherry. There's some herbal and some barrel content to it that gives it a profile you could substitute it for.
Yeah. But the thing about the cherry liqueur too that's really interesting, it actually tastes like cherries. It doesn't taste like a flavor of a cherry. And, we actually whisk in a little bit of bourbon too, so it gives it that background or that backbone. And then also kind of has like that like pastry. I call it pastry umami, but that's probably a little bit.
That's good. Pastry umami.
I mean, it's kind of bready, but it has that like the savory bready flavor to it.
Yeah, it's got a little like a baked. It's not baking spice because that's not fair, but yeah, that's what that kind of depth that it has. It's a good description.
So it's really great, especially for cocktail bars, because it's unlike any other cherry spirit I've come across, and they do a good job with it. That's actually what's in there too, and.
It's Zach's drinking. It's all that's in there. Dr. Pepper.
It's just that.
Captain and Coke.
So,
which also works.
So that's Una Vida and Hotel Tango
No, it's great.
cherry and just some apricot bitters and calico syrup. What is calico syrup? I don't know.
Calico syrup is, I'm sure I'm not the first to do this, but I'm now going to call it the Lincoln County syrup.
Yep.
So it's basically a bottle of Jack Daniels, which is a Tennessee whiskey. Lincoln County process is what makes Tennessee whiskey.
Oh, geez.
So they have to actually.
I thought you were talking about Lincoln County, Missouri.
I have never been. I didn't even know there was a. Sorry, Lincoln County.
That's not.
If we're on the mobile tour, we may have to make a stop.
Shout out to all my people from Winfield.
No, so Lincoln County, Tennessee. So they filter it through maple charcoal specifically,
Okay.
which is kind of what I get. Like Jack Daniels is very, very sweet, or you get into Belle Meade, which is probably a better version of that to me.
Sure.
But we took the Jack Daniels, since I couldn't really sell it off the back bar anymore. We slow cooked it down with some brown sugar until it became basically 2 or 3 cups. And that's what goes into the old fashioned. So all that, it's a Calico Kid. All the parts of that old fashioned come from different styles of whiskey. But,
Oh, that's awesome.
So just playing around. Also in the news, because it's supposed to be like a news thing, but we're gonna get better at it. It's a news segment. It's current events. We'll get them up with a name. Email us, actually. We actually have an email that we are going to be posting. Email us with your suggestions on what to call our current events section in the beginning or segment. The passing of Morales Luis, who I didn't really know that was his name until a few days ago, but he was the master distiller, or at least initially the distiller for Del Maguey Mezcal, which I don't think the U.S. would have even heard about Mezcal for another 20 years had they not been involved in the ambassadorships, getting in with USBG, Tales of the Cocktail, Portland Cocktail Week.
That was definitely the first one I ever had. But the reason I had it was pretty substantial. So we ordered Mezcal Vita for Flamingo Bowl back in the day. This is a long time ago. I
Which
was
is like a crema.
Jesus, I was about to say.
25, probably.
Yeah.
And so if you're keeping score, it's 13 years.
Wow. Don't date yourself, though.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm a good-looking 40-year-old.
You're damn good looking. You
25-year-old.
are a good-looking bear.
But anyway, we ordered Mezcal Vita, and instead of that, they sent us the fucking $130 bottle of Pachuga.
Ooh.
And me and Seth drank the whole thing that one night, and we just went on a vision quest together.
I mean, I feel
And then we ended up cleaning the Jaeger machine that night too, which means there's a pitcher of Jaeger left over.
Clearly not sober if you're cleaning the Jaeger machine.
No. And so I remember we took that back to Seth's house, and I think we played Mario Kart till 7 o'clock in the morning, and I smashed a pitcher of Jaeger. It was great. Great night.
The alcohol in the right use can be not unlike drug use. It's a very different. Don't just rip shots. Slowly go through a bottle of Pachuga, see where you end up.
It's fantastic. But with that, and then what was Pata's little Mexican bar?
Diablitos,
man. Had a lot of.
The same?
We may have to have Doc Pot on the show. That might
Del
be a
Maguey.
polarizing figure.
Man, that guy speaks in proverbs. I can't handle it.
He was, not the worst boss I've ever had, but
That's just because you had really bad bosses.
it's been a long, hard road. This is my last ditch effort. So yeah, I mean, we wouldn't have, talk about brand. We're going to get a lot of not just bartenders, but brands and owners, and again, the show is pushing culture. So to know guys like that, who they are, how important they were to the industry, and that now his son will probably take over, and it's just makes the product more.
Well, and that's been the
personable.
great thing. As much as tequila's gotten commercialized, the great thing about mezcal is it is still so bred in their culture. Like, it is family. It is, I guarantee you it's his son that takes, if he has a son.
He does. It was him and his son
Right.
initially do it. So I mean, if the son decides to, I guess.
I staged at there's a museum of tequila and mezcal in I'm gonna say this wrong, but Garibaldi Square. Are you familiar with that on Mexico City?
I am not.
So it's a square in Mexico City where like mariachis just go there and play, and then like you like here's $100, come with me. I'm going to propose to this girl, and then like so it's like a for hire like mariachi thing, or you give them like $20.
It's just like okay, hold on. It's an open
square.
trading post.
It's a town
and you
plaza
just throw in dinero.
Yeah.
Quinceañera, 12 o'clock. Who's got it? It's like going to Home Depot here and getting construction workers.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I staged at the mezcal bar, and like it's exactly that. Like, you know, I don't know how much you know about Mexican history, but like, from the view that I got from the tour that they took it on, it's like a very there's a lot of regret with their history. You know, they feel like they were taken over with.
I mean, you have Cortez. You have. I mean, you know, that is a people who has been too kind throughout history and been taken advantage of every single time.
And if you know the story about Cortez, like Cortez could never defeat the Mexican people until he went to individual tribes and turned them against themselves. So the fact that like Cortez took them over is like a big. It's a shame for them, you know.
Well, yeah, they were. I mean, absolutely
so,
stronger
like,
than the Spanish.
But the big thing is like the purity of real tequila and the purity of great mezcal. You know, they see that as a manifestation of true Mexican spirit, not like the drinkable kind, but the actual like integrity and like what it means to be a Mexican. Just how, you know, how I feel like bourbon makes me proud to be an American.
No, I'd say, and I've always like thought of it as you know, kind of you think of like places in Italy like Cinque Terre, where all these small villages have these red wines. Our producer drinks red wine. Hi, Oliver. He's drinking it right now.
I've never seen him drink.
I've never seen
wine
a box that big.
Yeah. Why are you slapping the bag?
But no, it's like so like all those individual families, not even like villages. It's like individual families even. They have their own ongoing version of this particular thing. And so I mean, saying bourbon. So again, I mean, mezcal, I think, opened people's eyes to agave. I mean, we always knew tequila, but I think tequila just took on. I mean, we'll get to that, but that tequila's got its own identity that stands apart from its distillate. They're learning coasters now.
Apparently we're banging our glasses. Don't mind my umbrella either.
So like we said before, our guest today is Una Vida founder, Zach Conley, also founder/owner of Scofflaw Times.
Yeah.
So talk to us about one thing before the other. Scofflaw Times, what are we doing? What's it about? What is it? Does it have a website?
Scofflawtimes.com.
There he is. Hey.
But so Scofflaw is a term you came up with. If you want to tell them kind of what.
Okay. I was asked a question
Yes.
and I repeated it. So scofflaw is an old term for like back in Prohibition.
Yep.
They actually voted on what to call people that were drinking while it was illegal or those that were peddling booze, and they were considered scofflaws, which is the most ridiculous word of all time, and voted into being a legal word. So when he asked for something that seemed not quite rebellious, but maybe just outside the lines, had something to do with our industry, that was the first word that came to my mind at 8:30 in the morning.
And Bryce and I loved it.
So hey, now here we are. It grew organically. Our producer, Oliver, is drinking Lambrusco and judging the name.
Yes.
He's a scofflaw himself.
I've known Oliver a long time, and I've never seen him drink wine, and he's already drank a bottle.
He's got a girlfriend now.
He's got a girl.
He's getting classy.
So,
can't drink Mad Dog 2020s forever.
the whole point of Scofflaw Times is really, if you know anything about me and what we've done with Una Vida, is we really care about our industry, care about giving people a platform, and what I love about this is it helps us on our creativity side kind of get outside of just tequila, Blanco, Repo, and Añejo, and it helps, give you guys a platform too to express yourself or have guests, do whatever. It's something that No, it's just it seemed like a great idea. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, Barstool has done a great job of creating a media company and giving personality to people that probably no one would ever give them a chance to even express themselves creatively. Like,
No, it's like, I mean, St. Louis, we
Right.
get called flyover way too many times.
which is a joke.
Which is, I mean, I guess outside looking in, it seems that way, but it's hard. Like, there's not a lot of showcasing in bar food
Right.
and beverage, especially right now. So, I mean, giving it a platform may change that perspective. I mean, we're biased and in it a lot, so we probably feel passionately that there's more there than what people know.
Right. Well, it's something that, and eventually, the way we see it, it'll get outside of bar and food, but just letting people that want to be creative and giving them an outlet to do it. Like if somebody wanted to do a cooking show, if somebody wanted to do something, they've got a good idea. Execution is everything, and I don't think a lot of people understand that. And maybe a skill that I'm good at is helping people figure out how to execute.
I'm sure that's what the founder of OnlyFans feels, but same thing.
I guarantee you, yeah, right? Help it, no shit.
Yeah, I mean, no, and perfect platform. That's not a judgment against
Right.
that. But no, giving people platforms to do. I mean, Patreon's just the opposite version of that.
Right.
I mean, people get to
Patreon.
Patreon, yes. You get to like pay to see talent.
Right. You can get like happy birthdays.
Is that what that's for?
No, that's Cameo.
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 Yeah.
But anyway,
Also birthdays.
it's something that we're excited to do. I mean, we want to get everything from shows to videos to clips to bloggers to everything kind of under the sun that works.
Right. So for your guys' podcast, what is that? Like, what do people expect when they listen to that?
So we'll come out with one. It may be this year. It's going to be called the Too Stupid to Quit podcast. And it's just kind of simple, kind of our take on life is as long as you don't give up, as long as you keep going. A lot of times you'll be called stupid for the things you're doing, but as long as you keep pushing forward, and don't quit, usually things come to fruition for sure.
Nice.
Well, we're happy to be a part of the family. And,
absolutely.
We're glad to have you
Yeah.
guys, both you guys.
Thank you.
We've been
We know
early
there's,
supporters of our other brands, and so we greatly appreciate it.
So let's get to the beginning because you and I obviously we're all friends here. I think you can pick that up pretty quick. But I just never had the opportunity to actually know much about you besides like our personal interactions.
Yep.
So you come from Winsville?
Yes,
Right?
so I grew up in Winsville, Missouri, more technically Forestell for all my people out
That's
there.
right.
Forstell?
Forestell.
Okay,
It's the
gotcha.
exit past Winsville.
Very well.
Before Wright City, we're not that Hoosier.
I believe it exists.
It does.
I've never been that far.
Most people haven't. But yeah, grew up in a town about 500 people.
How many people do you think are out there now?
The population's double because we do a lot of driving from.
So 10,000 in just Forestell?
Oh no, we went from 500 to 1,000.
Oh, sorry.
Not that big.
No.
That's it.
10,000 is not that big.
So it'd
Not
be fair to
1,000's
say
not that big either.
at this point you're somewhat of a hometown hero. And in all honesty, I mean, what are the odds that 1,000 people who owns a tequila company?
Well, maybe.
Who's founded one?
Maybe the cashier at Mr. Fuel thinks so.
I mean, okay, is that a big? So like from your hometown, that's like the guy. That's like the gas
Oh yeah,
station
so you get off the
convenience store.
exit. There's Mr. Fuel, the TNA, just like at every, and then there's another gas station and McDonald's, and that's about the exit of the city.
So where's prom held?
So
Is there like a bidding war
Winsville. I went to
between-
Winsville in high school, which is a fairly big town. From what I read on the billboards, it's the crossroads of the nation.
Yes, I believe that
The
too.
fastest growing city in the
Whole
country.
culture up
I've
there, I'm
heard.
unaware of.
Yeah, so my high school was decent size. It was about 2,000 people. The high school was big.
That's
but it
still
was,
larger than mine. Yeah.
Yeah, but the town I grew up in was small, so it was like on the outskirts. But there was no other school to go to, so they bust us in.
Bust you in.
Bust me in.
So you did that for a while, and then I know you said that you moved around here and there, and then you had opportunity to start
Yeah, so
Una Vida.
when I graduated school, high school, I went to college at good old Culver Stockton up in Canton, Missouri. Played football. I say just played football because I got a degree, but degrees are stupid. So I just played football and then moved out to Denver to work for my family company. Hated what I was doing. couldn't sell any of it, and then met a guy that
What were you selling?
industrial batteries. As much as it's
Who were you selling them to?
OnlyFans.
so it's actually a cool job. So it's important, but it's lame. It's real lame.
No, but I mean these are still big money industries.
Oh, absolutely. The things
they're not thought provoking.
So basically, there are to make sure if the power goes out, the 911 lines keep working. The electricity.
It's a pretty important thing,
right? So the batteries kick on. I mean, you're talking batteries that weigh 150 pounds. They build them in these specialty racks with data centers, power plants, and rectifiers, all kinds of
You're
shit.
just saying words now.
No, they are words. It's just been too long.
That's
So
awesome. I didn't know that about you.
Yeah. Well, my grandpa started it, and they became the largest industrial battery distributor in the country. So my whole
You've got
goal
good
in
role
life,
models for what you're trying to do here.
well,
then.
yeah. So my whole goal in life was to graduate college, get my business degree, and go work for the family. 6 months in, I'm like, uh-oh. My whole life, this wasn't. I'm awful at this. And so having that conversation with like my uncle, who now owns a company, and my grandpa, they're like, "What?" And I'm like, I'm not cut out for this. This is awful.
Is this like Tommy Boy? You're trying to sell auto parts on the road, and you're just not great at
Basically.
it. Okay.
Yeah, I was terrible.
That's that. I would think that you'd sell. Yeah. Knowing you now, I would think that would be untrue. But okay.
I probably still couldn't sell a battery to save my life. So then I met a guy who owned a tequila company based out of Denver. Worked for them for 6 years. Helped grow the brand exponentially, and then tried to buy the company. That didn't work out. Never had raised any money. And George Clooney, thank you for this, because when I tried to put my offer in to buy the company, which was nothing. Now we're talking minimal amount of money here. Zach, George Clooney just sold his tequila for $1 billion in 4 years. You think I'm going to sell to you?
Yeah. What was the final number? Because it was Casamigos, and it was Patron that bought them, or it was Bacardi that bought them?
It was Diageo that bought Casamigos.
Really?
Yes. Diageo bought Casamigos for $1 billion after them only being in business for 4 years, and they were only doing maybe 200,000 cases. Like, the evaluation, it made no sense whatsoever.
Which leads to what I got it confused with, which is
Bacardi
immediately after that was set as a precedent, Bacardi buys Patron for
$5 billion.
$5 billion.
Yes.
So you're in the right business.
Not really.
No. Yeah, what the hell of a timing? I mean, it's like, yeah, like you're ready to buy
No,
this tequila
it
company,
did.
nobody cares, and then next thing you know, I mean, it's hitting marks it's never hit in history.
Yes. Well, George Clooney, and so I was like, oh, I guess thanks, George Clooney, you screwed me there. So then,
Won't be the last time.
So then, Bryce Lobb, my business partner, he was working for a Bloody Mary mix company at the time, so we were doing events together, Bloody Marias, and then kind of decided he wanted out of his, I wanted out of mine at that point. Once I realized that I was never going to get any equity in the company, I was like, all right, well, this is stupid. Why am I going to continue to help grow the business? So then we kind of went down to Mexico and started a tequila company. It's a very, very short version of it.
Well, I mean, no, that's, I mean, I say we've got content to make.
So you and Bryce met,
Yeah.
and then you guys were just like, okay, let's do it. Let's do this tequila company.
Yeah.
You know, you shook hands, and you guys got on a plane,
Yep.
went to Mexico.
Yep. Moved down there.
You just like hang out at farms and like
So
offer
thankfully,
hand jobs for tequila plants.
the
or-
rules of the road.
OnlyFans. Yes, George. R.I.P. George Carlin.
But I mean, it's really funny because everyone asks me, "Oh, you can speak Spanish?" No, because a lot of people don't know this, but the tequila industry, 80% of it's export. So the people that are in business, in the tequila business, they understand it's an American business, so they all speak English. At least the ones that are helping conduct things. So I went down there like, oh man, I'm gonna be drinking from a fire hose, learning to speak Spanish. And they come up, oh, Mr. Conley, nice to meet you. I'm like, what the fuck?
Guy's whiter than me.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, we went down there, and obviously, being the first employee of that previous brand, I was able to make a lot of mistakes and learn a lot of things. that really helped me with Una Vida was, I had 3 different bottle suppliers, label suppliers, people I'd already had connections with those 7 years, and I was ready to roll, essentially. It wasn't too bad. I had to make a phone call to each one of those suppliers and get it off the ground. That's a great thing about distribution, too, up in the States, was Major Brands, who's the distributor for Una Vida in Missouri, they said no to the brand I had worked for. But I was smart enough to send a quarterly email of, hey, hope you guys are doing well. Derek Holmes and Matt Lauman, hey, hope you guys are doing okay. Great to see you. So then when we were ready to launch Una Vida, I said, hey, guys, I know you said no to this previous brand, but I'd love to meet with you. I'm starting on my own brand, and we're going to be a St. Louis base. I said, absolutely. I literally just asked, hey, can I get a meeting? And I said, absolutely. So after that meeting, we were able to get our first market, which is the hometown of St. Louis, and we were in Missouri ready to roll.
Which was kind of the same process, because after I started meeting you, one of the first accounts I think you were working on for a long time, which sounds identical as a story, was Schnucks. Which, I mean, again, I'm not trying to say anything about Schnucks, but you kept telling me
I'm still trying to get into Schnucks.
I was gonna say what you have to I hear people say, I'm gonna try and get my homemade product into Schnucks. I'm like, man, according to you, that is a ongoing, forever and ever and ever process. It's a very big vet.
No, they do not want to talk to you. They don't want it.
No.
When you say, hey, how's it going? Would you be interested in anything? Just the fact that you asked them.
Oh yeah, because you've done this with Hotel Tango.
I've done nothing with Hotel Tango.
Oh, okay.
I just know from other experiences, let's just say, but they're offended that you even asked them for their time. It's really
weird. They're so big.
It's a really weird thing, and yeah, you're in there.
Yeah, we're in there.
No, I remember you were very happy because you got in the computer thing, and now they got
able to do it.
So congratulations.
Still working on Schnucks. Hey,
Still working on a
Schnucks.
couple Schnucks. We love Schnucks. You guys are great.
Shop local.
Your time is valuable.
Hey, Deerbergs, if you pick us up, we like you too.
Deerbergs is great.
Straub's.
I love
That's
Deerbergs.
another great.
Yeah. Fresh Time? I like Fresh Time.
I mean, we've got
Are you
grocery
guys in
stores.
Fresh Time? Have you?
No, I haven't even tried Fresh Time.
That'd be awesome.
We love you, Fresh Time.
We love you, Fresh Time.
Well, the thing about Fresh Time is whoever's buying for them, it's actually it's a thought about list. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
They know what they're doing.
Yeah. Schnucks is the thing about Schnucks is it's definitely store by store. So you have people who you can really tell okay, this buyer is flexing, this guy knows his shit. If you're a wine fan, Oliver, Schnucks Butler Hill is probably the best wine, one of the best wine selections you can find.
I'm sorry, did you say Stonehill?
Butler Hill.
Oh.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But that guy actually used to work for Major Brands. But you go there and it's just this guy knows a shit ton about wine.
You may have more.
I haven't found the
I was-
tequila
I was-
Schnucks, I can tell you that.
Well, I was going to say, a lot easier to sell a knowledgeable.
Oh, this guy knows his shit.
it's
I haven't
like,
found him.
Thank God, finally, somebody I can.
Yeah, if you're looking for the strawberry lemonade margarita Schnucks, that's all of them. But
So it's actually
there's
funny.
no tequila Schnucks.
It's actually
This is it. This is the one.
when funny story, and then I'll go into how I met both you guys. Was the end of our first year with Una Vida. We sat down in our yearly meeting, and I'm kind of sitting there okay, it's funny, and I joke around because at the end of it's all these quarterly corporate meetings and shit we don't do. But the distributors do them with these major corporations that people only care about numbers and all that kind of stuff. And we're sitting there, and they're like, well, we've got some good news and bad news. I'm like, okay, what's the bad news? You do the opposite of everyone else. Everyone else's business model is 80% off premise, 20% on. What's the good news? You got a lot of room to grow because we were the complete opposite of any brand that Major Brand had brought on. Was 80% of our sales were on premise, 20% were off. And I think that is more of a long-term play, at least when you're in this industry, was we realized bartenders were the best salesmen we could have. We understood, somebody that's, if somebody said, hey, what do you recommend? And if the first thing out of a bartender's mouth was, oh, you've got to try this new local tequila. That was a huge win. It takes a lot longer because a lot of these brand owners look at it as, oh, I'd rather sell a bottle than sell a shot. Where we looked at it as, I'd rather sell a whole bunch of shots over a period of time that turns into the consumer going to buy a bottle.
Right.
Building brand loyalty. We always
as
say
you
we're not in the
learn,
business
like,
of selling
bars
tequila.
have vehicles
Right.
for mass, like,
Right.
putting it out there. Like, there's always a cocktail or a shot, or it's building that rapport with that bartender to get it on the menu or to get it into
Right.
that vehicle that will push those numbers. So, I mean,
Right.
yeah, if you're the brand that cares, that actually listens to bartenders and has cares about their craft versus just, here's a T-shirt, sell my
Yeah.
stuff. Like,
Where's my
of course
menu
you're gonna
placement?
win. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, awesome. Yes.
There's a lot in it, and so they were excited about it. But it was just cool to hear that we were doing everything the opposite of all these other brands. I was like, well, then I think we're on to something. It might take a little bit longer. It's going to be a little more grassroots, a little more organic, but I think we're on the right track. Plus, that meant that every other brand that had their 80% in on-premise, we still have that much more room to grow. So it's exciting.
Plus, I mean, I get asked a lot, like, what should I drink? I'm looking at this bottle. What do you think? And I mean, that's even now, like, while I'm not working behind a bar, and it mostly goes back to, like, for one, I just know a lot of different brands, but, like, I'm always apt to suggest things that actually mean something to me.
Right.
And the fact of the way you guys are doing it being relationship based,
Yeah.
you're not selling just the tequila, but you're selling, you, Bryce, and Oliver's relationships, and I think it speaks volumes to the amount of support you guys get.
Well, I'll never forget when I came in to see you the first time. You're like, hey, come back next Tuesday at 3. And I came back next Tuesday at 3, and you turn around and you're like, oh, you actually showed up. I'm like, well, yeah, you told me to be here.
It is always a crapshoot, and I wasn't as to whether they'll actually show up when you have time to talk. Because
Yeah.
reps, whether it's it's for the distributor or for the
Right.
brand, they always want to show up at this really terrible time. It's like, oh, I know the bar is open, instead of thinking when does somebody have time to talk?
Right.
At 4:30, we're going to do lineup. You're setting up tables and sections. It's not the best time to discuss
Right.
your brand new tequila brand that you feel passionate about and probably want to take a little bit of time to explain. And so to reschedule, people usually just think you're not interested, so they blow
Right.
it off, or they'll come back in a month and it's still a bad time. I know reps like that. I'm not going to bring up brands yet, but you came in. I'll even say the first time I was just like, no, I have tequila. I was a Tequila Ocho fan, yeah, and still am, but that was that.
fantastic.
So am I.
Yeah,
So am I.
All smart
I
brands.
am.
No, nobody's not. Nobody's not. But I just kind of felt like I had that brand association. I was gonna push.
Shout out to Brandon. by the
Yeah,
way.
say Brandon Cummings is the one that taught me everything I knew about agave up to that
Good man.
point. So that and All Smart Brands, and he's still doing awesome stuff. It'd be amazing to get him in here one day.
What's the other one? Ryan Rama, right?
Yes, but he's taking a break from that, I believe. He got into something else.
No shout out for Ryan. Shout out to
But
Brandon.
Also, you're out, Rama. No. But when you come back in, but no, I remember being not interested. And then you came in, you were persistent, and you, again, like you said, you were knowledgeable about your product. You weren't trying to get bottle placement or brand placement for commission. It was, you had this great thing that you'd worked on really hard and were proud of it. And I remember the first tasting we did was 30 people on a patio.
Yeah.
And it was against Tequila Ocho.
Yep.
And how many bottles of Una Vida I sold that night was crazy. Both were for sale.
Yep.
Not that one was better, but you did such a good job presenting your product that, I think 15, 20 people walked out with a bottle.
yeah.
And from then, smoked pineapple margarita. The rest is history. I've been a fan ever since, obviously.
And of course, the first person that introduced me to Tony was Angela Ortman.
Angela Ortman,
Oh my
another
gosh, really?
possible guest.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the connection.
Yeah,
That's funny.
We had a drink at the bar.
Oh,
and
yeah,
the first
yeah,
time
yeah.
you met me, you came up and gave me a hug. I came around to shake your hand, and you gave me a big old bear hug.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay.
It is Huggy Bear.
And the times you could hug.
Yeah. And I'm like, all right, this is how it's going. But no, it was. It's just it's a great industry, and at the end of the day, I think a lot of these distributor reps and all that stuff, they treat it, yes, it's a business, but at the end of the day, we're also selling booze. So it's okay to be a little informal.
And there's a lot of it
We
on
don't
our
wear
end.
suits and ties, but you go into major brands and everybody has a suit and tie on, and nothing against it by any means. Sir. We love you, major brands, I promise. But it's just hey,
Well,
I'll
they
come
have
in my T-shirt
they have a
and
different
shorts.
interests in this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course.
There's also a thing about that side of the liquor industry, though.
Yeah.
They're slow to change.
Yeah.
They have a very like standard way of doing business, and it's a little outdated. I think it's definitely like a 60s vibe, like almost door-to-door salesman. That's a little bit more upscale, but it's definitely a game for old boys, and Major Brands was one of the first ones I noticed that got smart to it, and they stopped hiring people out of college with sales or business degrees, and they started hiring bartenders who were looking for something else.
That's the best people you can hire. They have all the connections.
That and Vintegrity, I would say.
Yeah.
That was like one of the best moves that I think they've really started pulling, and I think it's a matter of time before the bigger ones start doing that. But I mean, like you see, like,
just kidding.
I'm sure it's the same across the country. That there's a certain giant distributor that just hires these kids fresh out of college that are just like, oh, it'd be fun to sell,
booze.
I don't know, some bourbon that I used to let guys suck out my belly button. But
these are female.
Anybody. That doesn't have to be female.
That's another podcast.
I've done
on
a belly
OnlyFans.
shot off of Zach before. It's fine.
I mean, who has?
But
I don't remember those.
Those are shot specials. Nor would you.
It was my birthday. Who knows?
That was Oliver. That's who that was. I wasn't at the birthday.
It was red wine.
Drinking Lambrusco out of his
I wasn't
belly
naked on your
button.
car.
Gross.
That's a true story. But anyway, like you see, like these people, and like they don't even really know anything about the product that they have, and very few of them want to know about the product that they're selling. So, it's not about the connection; it's just a numbers game for them. And so, when they come to me as a buyer, or Andy as a buyer, like, look, I know you have to like numbers to make, and I get it, and I know you're trying to figure out how to like do me some deals and stuff like that. But like at a certain point, and actually like in the future, like I'm looking forward to just buying stuff that I care about and I like, and not worrying about like what distributor am I making happy, or what brand is like docking me for loyalty, and making sure that everything's working out right. I think the personality gets lost a lot, which I would say you guys are really good at too. So with that in mind, we're gonna take a really quick break here.
Got to pay the man.
Throw Oliver up on the table, and we'll start pouring some tequila in him. Bryce are in Mexico.
Yeah.
And you're meeting a bunch of English-speaking Mexicanos.
Yes.
And I think that's where we left off. And then we went on a terrible tangent. So,
I mean, so more recently, we talk about tequila culture. You're in Mexico. You came to St. Louis. Like, did you guys decide that St. Louis was the market you wanted to start in because it's where you're from? Because I don't know necessarily is Bryce from the area.
No.
Or did you pick this because this was a market that you felt like you could really grow?
So it was both, honestly.
Okay.
One, our investor group's from St. Louis. I'm from St. Louis, and I think it was a great opportunity to educate people on tequila, especially in the Midwest. There's still a whole lot of
and this was how long? Just as a timeline, how long ago was it that you started selling Una Vida in St. Louis?
We're not even at 3 years.
Okay, so 3 years. I wasn't here until just as they started selling in St. Louis. What was the dominant brand that was in bars? Whether that was through just because of price or USBG, what was
your premium tequila?
Yeah, what was everybody pretty well supporting
Tequila
at that
Ocho.
time? Tequila Ocho. Okay, gotcha. Continue on. Sorry, I just wanted to establish a base.
That's actually a good thing.
There was no other. So I would say Brandon being in Kansas City, and obviously he has a lot more. Everyone has Tequila Ocho over there, but there was just nobody else that handled tequila like that as a brand.
Yeah. And I think Ocho does a great job of involving bartenders and involving
that whole Altamar Brands catalog is just insane. And
Ocho isn't a part of Altamar anymore.
Really?
They sold to
that is accurate. Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
Altamar is focusing predominantly on
leave
rum and cognac. No, he's still with Altamar,
but
Ocho is not.
But Brandon still works with Tequila Ocho or no?
No, with
I don't know that he doesn't work with
okay.
them, but I know he is employed by Altamar.
Oh, I got you. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it was a weird name. It was the If our producer wasn't in the bathroom, I'd tell him to look it up.
Oh,
What a
man, what's
shitty
he good for? No, I'd say,
Yeah.
that was somewhat recent. I mean, that was a year and a half
It's the
ago, I
same
feel
brand, I believe, that owns illegal mezcal.
like.
God
Which
dang
I
it.
don't
Okay,
know
this is
for-
gonna bother
but
me.
that's another lesson in spirit portfolios and just how freaking diverse and how what a freaking rabbit hole it can be sometimes to like
yeah.
find a product because the distributor carries the portfolio, but products freaking play the Russian doll game all over the place.
Also,
All right,
right,
I'm not
before
gonna
you,
look this
right before you guys came to the market too,
Yeah.
I think that's when Beam start really pushing Saza, and like
Yeah.
they also own Hussons, but like
Beam is a Husson's product? No, it's not. It's because I just looked this up. It's a McCormick's product.
Hussons,
McCormick's.
not Hussons, Hornitas, is that it?
Yes, yeah.
square bottles?
Yep, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
Hornitos. Hornitos.
Horny toads, that's right. But like,
Not to mix up horny toads at Lake of the Ozarks. Great account. Thank you, guys.
nice.
You can plug it where you can, my man. That's what it's for. It's a platform for all things.
But that was the other thing. It was just like a lot of like just weird number deals and no like,
Yeah.
personality behind it or anything like that.
And that was kind of our whole approach of it was, and you guys give me shit all the time, but we can be sold in the highest end cocktail bars, but we will be the Saturday special at Hot Shots.
No, absolutely. I've seen it everywhere. I mean, I've seen craft.
Yeah.
Another cool thing you guys. I mean, so St. Louis, you come in considering where you started then and now. I don't know if you know like exact numbers. Like, what kind of growth have you seen in like the less than 3 years? It seems like through a couple of tools you've used, like it's
pretty
grown
good,
quite a
substantial.
lot. Yeah,
Even during a pandemic.
And during the pandemic, you did the Instagram Una Vida drink contest, which
Tequila
was awesome.
Fairy.
I mean, and you did Tequila Fairy at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm sure you've talked about that a lot. But to those who don't know, what was the Tequila Fairy? And I would like to know the aftermath of like how much you feel like you gained account wise, and like what a good tool that really was when you get bartenders involved.
So basically, it was March or April of last year. Obviously, everyone had no idea what in the world was going on. It was scary. And then our industry particularly, everyone's like, we got to shut down. So then we kind of looked, and I'm not saying these brands didn't do what they said they did, but, we saw brands like Jameson and these big corporations like Constellations, Diageo write big checks, hundreds of thousands of dollars, to USBG chapters. I'm like, well, that's awesome. But being kind of the conspiracy theorist I am, I always asked, has anyone seen any of this money? And sure as shit, anybody I knew hadn't seen any of the money. Not saying it didn't go, maybe Missouri was an afterthought, but we didn't.
At least the lack of transparency.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm like, okay, well, we can't write that check. What can we do? So I was like, hey, you know what? Just hopped on my camera and said, all right, guys, any bartender that's laid off, kind of going back to us being 80% on premise, was bartenders were the lifeblood of our brand. Still are. Always will be. Always will be. And so we're like, oh shit, what can we do to help bartenders now? Not, hey, we're going to donate to some charity and hope you get some of the money. What can we do right now? And so we have an inventory of product that we use for tastings, we use for events that obviously weren't going to happen. So we're going to just give it away. So, and I thought like 12 people were going to hit me up. Like literally, you, like a few people were going to be like, hey, yeah, I'll take a free bottle
Only
of
the
tequila.
mooches. Like 12.
No, not mooches, just people that knew, like, all right, there's a kind gesture. And so,
To be fair, I waited for a long
I,
time.
yeah, he did.
I waited a very long
I
time.
know,
Yeah.
I know.
We
And-
already felt bad because we're mooching already.
So when I literally said, hey, I know you're laid off, we can't give you a check, but if you're going to be locked inside, we want to give you a free bottle of tequila. And holy shit. I mean, I woke up the next morning and I at least had 100 messages. And then it spiraled from there. And then we're like, uh-oh. And it kept going. And the cool thing that we did, what also came to bite us in the ass, was I didn't have people's phone numbers. So to let them know, I tagged on their porch, and obviously we were trying to do the right things. Like, I wasn't handing them the bottle.
No, we've seen, it's
Yeah,
on
like,
film.
I
It
wanted-
is dropped on the porch
Yes.
and it is gone.
And I wanted to tag them, so I wanted them to know. Because and we're still doing the 6 feet. Like we were a little more concerned at that time.
Cautious.
A little more cautious. I personally was way more cautious.
I mean, yeah, that was the very beginning, and like not that
when I was watching the videos of the people dropping dead in China, I was like, "What the fuck's going on?"
We were bleaching every handle. And so yeah, no, I mean that was we were.
And so I didn't have a way to do it. I didn't want to ding, especially because like I would have a route that'd be 40 people in a day. Like I didn't want to ring doorbells, and I would start at 6 a.m. sometimes. I'm like, all right, how do I do this? I'll tag them in their Instagram. Well, obviously, when you do that, they share it to their followers. So then that spider web started to grow of, okay, when I tagged Andy Printy and said, hey, Andy, and just said, barman who laughs, boom, there's the picture of your...
Follow.
Yeah, there it is. And then you would add it to your story. Then your followers would ask you, hey, how'd you get a free bottle of tequila? Hey, the guys from Una Vida are doing this. And imagine doing that 300 people into the all the it went crazy.
And you guys weren't exclusion, or like I think you guys set up a timeline at the end, but wasn't it, what was the total length of that? It felt like a couple of months.
So, and it was
2 months of.
And I was also doing good old 75 hard at that time. Shout out 75 hard, where I had to drink a gallon of water while I was driving around in my route.
Is that part of 75 hard? You're in your car?
No, just drinking the gallon of water.
Okay.
So I had to stop at every quick trip known to planet Earth and run in. But we're also in a pandemic, and I'm literally Cloroxing my hands so bad that I'm starting to bleed. Because I'm like, oh, God, I got to wipe my hands.
That's a
wipe
lot
my
of
steering
us.
wheel.
Yeah,
Like,
remember,
oh, God. Like, I don't know what the fuck to do. Oliver's going to be mad. But... So, I mean, we started doing that. And
that's when Oliver started getting really involved, I feel like.
Absolutely.
I mean, because I know he started loading that car up with Una Vida boxes himself.
Oh, absolutely. And
I had a route of like 80 people one day. And
only got to 30 of them. No.
Honestly, I was really good about getting to everyone in my route.
Nice.
And I had all the obscure ones, like the ones that are like super
the ones
south.
I gave them.
The super south ones.
Or like 13 miles for one bottle of Blanco. It's like we're
honestly
no rain.
But here was the saver though. I found was it me or someone else who found the Root for Me app?
It was Bryce.
Oh, it was Bryce.
And he's gonna love to hear this.
Bryce found this app that we could use to like schedule the routes.
Of course he did.
So it's route. It's not route, you Hoosier.
So we would go to like St. Charles and the St. Louis, then the Winsville and the St. Charles.
Thank you, Winsville.
So I would literally, I would take them as I received them. And then all of a sudden, Bryce came. He's like, oh, I got 40, or he got like 20, legitimately, I'm not exaggerating. He probably got like 22 in a day. And I'm like, how did you do that? He's like, oh, I found this app. You plug in the address. And this is such a Bryce thing. You guys know Bryce. That's a Bryce thing. I'm just taking them as I see them. So I'm going from St. Louis to St. Charles.
Bryce is systematic.
St. Charles to St. Louis, back. And then Bryce is like, oh, I did 22 in one day. And I'm like, how the fuck did you do that? He goes, oh, I found this app where you just plug in the addresses and it finds you the best route you can do it. I'm like, oh, well, that would have saved me as I was 2 months into doing this shit.
So we both started doing that.
Comes up again.
Yes. Route for me. Not a sponsor, but a great...
711 has requested that Tony get a refill on his cocktail, so if we could get that bottle of Una Vida over here,
yes, sir,
that'd be great. But yeah, continue.
So then it really started to slow down. Bryce did it in Wichita locally, and then the news asked Bryce if they could do a segment on it, and he said absolutely. So he does the news segment.
Yeah, if you Google Tequila Fairy, there's one man that shows up.
Yes, it's Bryce. My idea, but Bryce Lobb got famous for it. But literally, he did the news segment, and it starts to take off.
Cheers.
They didn't... And I know a lot of us have issues with the media and the news, and I've got firsthand experience with this shit, was literally, they didn't tell him that they are and nothing against CNN, except for this story. This is fucked up. They're an affiliate for the nation. So when they plug it into their hopper, anyone can pull from it. So if you watch the news story that Bryce did in Wichita, it says, hey, we're here to give free bottles of tequila to laid off bar industry people.
No, it wasn't even bar industry people. It was laid off people.
laid off.
No,
employee.
we're going to get to that point. Bryce's story was laid off bar industry
it.
people
Okay.
in our markets, St. Louis and Wichita.
Seems like an important distinction.
But you had to watch the video.
Oh,
to see
before
that.
they said.
So
okay.
Wichita's headline was, local man gives free bottles of tequila to laid off bar industry people. When they plug it into their hopper, all of a sudden we started getting emails from New York. As the morning came through and the East Coast started coming through, we started getting emails from New York, Ohio, Florida. And we're like, what the hell? And then all of a sudden we start getting messages from people. Hey, you were on the New York Daily, New York News, Pennsylvania, New Hampshire. And we're like, what is happening? And we realized
you got
that
that route maker.
and we realized they had plugged it into their little hopper thing where anyone can pull it. But I'm going to say they fucked up, but they changed the header to where some of them literally read. The video was the same. If they actually clicked the video and watched it, you see Bryce Lobb saying, hey, we're only doing this for laid off industry workers in our given markets, Wichita and St. Louis.
Which is generous enough in itself.
You read the header, if you've been fired, get a free bottle of tequila.
Oh,
If you've been
awesome.
laid off, get a free bottle of
That
booze.
business model just went from charitable to what the hell? Like,
So then we would get email, literally, and as the day rolled on, you saw it on the East Coast, we were getting blasted with emails. By the time it hit Colorado, we had over 1,000 emails that we had to put up pop-ups on our website saying, hey, if you're here for the Tequila Ferry, we need to clarify this was for St. Louis and Wichita for laid off industry work. Because we would get these emails and it felt terrible. Like, hey, I'm a laid off, iron worker for Union 51 out of Pennsylvania. I saw your story today on the news and I'd love my free bottle of booze.
no tequila for you.
You're right. And I'm like, oh, God, this is awful. So then it just kept going and going. And by the time it hit West Coast, we're like, this is insane. Thankfully, everyone understood and was great. We're like, hey, if you watch the video, this is what it says.
So is there such thing as bad press?
There is.
Well, apparently.
Absolutely, yeah. But it was just like, come on, guys. And then Fox News reached out and said, hey, we want to do a story on you. And Bryce and I literally called each other and were like, do we want to do this? And so we had the call and we said, hey, if you publish this story, we want to tell you, like, this is what this is. We don't need our first interactions with potential customers is telling them no. Like, hey, I don't care about your story. I know you've been laid off, but we can't give you shit. Like, that's not what we're about. And so they, sorry, I have something in my eye. I don't know how to take my hat off, too, but.
Getting the full Zach Conley.
Yeah. But they were cool with it, and they published the story, and it went great. But, I mean, yeah, it was a huge part that I think, and I'll say it, is 2020, I think, will be the launching point, like true launching point for Una Vida, is we kind of separated ourselves from other brands. Instead of just writing checks, like we really put not only our money but our product where our mouth is, and how we care for industry
There's
people.
great spirit brand marketing things that have happened, and I think that's a huge. Like, that's got to be one of them on the list now.
I would think so.
3 Olives gets Mini Coopers. Red Bull kind of did the VW Bug with their thing, but there's been a lot of great, huge marketing campaigns. But
at the same
handing out
time,
free bottles is pretty big.
But at the same time, it wasn't even a marketing thing for us.
No.
It was just a kind of a, how do we help our industry people, because everyone was giving money, and at the time we could not do that.
I'll be honest with you.
It was
No
not. It
marketing thought at
really
all?
wasn't a marketing
No.
campaign
It was, for me,
I believe you.
for all of us, honestly.
Mostly.
it was probably the best marketing idea that wasn't intended to be a marketing idea.
Okay, yeah, even better.
That
So growth after that. I mean, like, do you? I don't know if you have. Again, I'm not asking for specific numbers, I guess, but I mean, I would think, like, and I've seen it in like some of the Instagram, because like for this show, I went and like looked at a bunch of Tequila Ferry hashtags and stuff, and I remember one guy said, like, if every bar in Wichita doesn't have Una Vida on the back bar, we've done wrong. Like, so I mean, like, what kind of
that's
growth did
dope.
you see?
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I just looked up the hashtag.
Yeah.
New to technology.
I actually have to look that
We'll
up.
have to do that.
I've never looked up the hashtag.
Let me just say, like, I was expecting a lot of like crazy things from this.
Yeah.
Nah, everybody just loves it. Everybody was very nice
That's
about
awesome.
it. I didn't see anybody complain. Like, one
And-
guy was like, "Should we give unemployed people alcohol?" I was like, I feel like he would miss the point on what was happening.
you can
But
go- you can go fuck
everything
yourself,
else
bro.
everything else was very, very nice. So yeah, I was always curious because
Yeah.
I never asked you in real life.
Well, we saw a spike when we were able to open up back in June. Was it June? We were able to open back up a little bit in St. Louis.
I think it was like August, feel like June, July.
So we saw a little bit. We saw a significant spike, but at the same time, you got to realize we haven't opened back up yet.
No, we're still.
Like I haven't been able to see, and I think it will pay off. We were at. Oh God, where the fuck was I?
Even like off premise, I guess. Like we've talked about that before.
Oh yeah. That was a big
included.
one. Yeah. Holy shit, where was I? Where were we yesterday? What day is today? Sunday.
Today is Sunday.
Yesterday was Saturday. I didn't go anywhere. Where was I Friday?
JP Fields.
Didn't they get shut down?
No, it was today. It was today at Twisted Tavern.
What'd you have at Twister Tavern today, Zach? It was a cheat day. Just
It's
know
called
that.
the Arnold. Yes, Arnold Burger at Twisted Tavern. It's a triple smash burger with lobster on top.
Lobster.
Fuck. So their new bar manager, Mike, came up to me and said, "Hey, I've never met you." I'm like, "Oh, hey, nice to meet you." He's like, "Just want to let you know, I really wanted to thank you that you guys gave me a bottle of like, I don't know how many times people told me like, hey, you left." And that's the thing is I never met anybody. I literally, people would DM us addresses and I would just drop a bottle on their porch without me ever meeting them. So I get people all the time that come up and say, "Hey, you left a bottle on my porch. Thank you."
So following
people-
the free tequila, you actually did something, made people do something with the tequila, which was your Instagram Una Vida cocktail competition.
Yep.
And so, like, what was your experience? I mean, I participated, but like,
Yeah.
that's a different experience than getting to put it up, mashups. Who'd you meet that you didn't know before? What were talents you were like, oh, I didn't know this person? Because that happened to me. There were a few bartenders, Leela and Chelsea and the like.
Which
that,
you
like,
should have her on. She would be a fucking blast.
Oh, she's. Yeah, we've never like physically met or anything,
Oh,
but like
she's she's awesome.
Like ever since that competition and like asking about like her roots and stuff in Kansas.
Wichita, right?
I know she like came up in
Lived
Kansas
in Wichita,
City,
yeah.
and then she like during COVID moved to St. Charles and is like building her way up. But she's
She's doing great,
nothing to
too.
mess around with. She's like an up and coming like
Where's she working at now?
Salt and Smoke.
Yeah.
Oh, word.
Yeah, no, she made it all the way to the Final Four.
Yeah.
And, like, she's a unknown. Like, she did a clarified punch of something for him. It was
Yeah.
really good. Really good looking. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, I mean, like, what was your experience in hosting it?
So we wanted to try to figure out a way to, because everyone was bored at home, obviously, especially bartenders that can't do anything. You
You
get
only
sick
pay
of-
Red Dead Redemption so long.
I paid a lot of it, but it was, hey, well, how do we get people involved? And it, obviously, being outside of your typical cocktail competition, that's the whole point of a cocktail competition. Is you taste the cocktail. We couldn't do that, so what we tried to do was a virtual one. And it was literally based off of, and we said it in the upfront, like, hey, this is going to be weird. Let's see how it goes. It was going to be a virtual cocktail competition based off your imagery and description of your cocktail. And as far as good as it could have gone, I thought it went pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, got a lot of attention. A lot
And
of
we
votes,
didn't think,
a lot
and
of-
we literally put it up and we're like, man, if no one enters, we'll just take it down. Stories only last 24 hours. No one will ever know. It'll be a forgotten thought in a week or two. But we had 30 or 40 entries. Like, it was really cool to see the people
And there was
like,
nothing
get interested
uniform
into it.
about the entries.
Right.
Like, it was like wacky races. You had
Yeah.
super high-end craft cocktails, and you had
Jello shots, which I thought was going to go far.
Hell yeah.
I mean, like, it was literally all walks of bartending, so it
Yeah.
was really cool to kind
How
of.
that worked, was that all just people voted for the ones they wanted?
Yeah, so we
polls.
did the Instagram poll story.
Yeah, that was it.
And so yeah, anytime
So-
that person's cocktail was on, I remember it was just the campaign, like they were going to go for president. Like it
Honestly-
was massive. Which again, it probably wasn't thought of as a marketing strategy, but there
Right.
you go.
Honestly, once we open up, we probably should do a in-person cocktail competition because a lot of that was just picture-based.
It's never been done before.
Whichever one was prettier, honestly, I mean, that's what a lot of people probably voted
Yeah.
for.
I mean,
Well, and who
obviously.
had the
Unless you
bigger
knew
following?
them. Unless you knew them.
Big followings. Yeah, we had ones. Yeah, I saw people with like
Well, I voted.
25,000 people.
I voted for
in
stuff
followings.
So what was the process, though, to actually figure out your product? Because, like, I understand all the branding stuff. Like,
Yeah.
you guys are masters at that. But, like, you and I've been in situations where you're just like, someone will ask you something, and you're like, well, Tony knows more than I do. You know what I mean? So, like, what was the part, like, how was that involvement of actually picking out, like, what Una Vida actually was,
So, and I mean, we didn't, as far as the barrel aging and all that, we couldn't start that from scratch to go to market. So,
course
like,
not.
a lot of people probably don't know this, but there's probably over 2,500 tequila brands sold in the United States, sold worldwide right now. And there's only, last time I checked, 214 licensed distilleries allowed in Mexico to make those tequilas. So obviously you have a lot of brands that are made in the same house, where for us, we went with more distilleries that didn't export. So they had a great family recipe. They knew they've been making tequila for generations, but most importantly, we were helping kind of get them established. So we've moved to distilleries. We're on our third one now, which is our final one, hopefully. But as tequila has grown exponentially, that's a great thing about it is Highlands versus Lowlands agave is going to obviously change the profile dramatically. But when you start getting into the age stuff, where Reposado being in a barrel for a minimum of 60 days and a maximum of a year, the difference, and you guys will know this, the difference between 2 months in a barrel versus 8 months in a barrel is a dramatic difference.
Right.
Being in the añejo category, 1 year to 3 years, let alone there's no stipulations on what type of barrels you use.
And I would argue even more than whiskey or a lot of other categories, the barreling and the process with tequila with terroir barrel,
right,
it's a lot more fragile, I guess, in that regard. Like a lot more affects a lot more.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Right. Well, and even in the cooking process, right? So we wanted to only go with distilleries that use the traditional brick ovens. We did, which is, it takes longer, and the best way I can put it is instead of microwaving your chicken breast, you're cooking it in a crock pot. Like, that's literally the time difference. We use traditional brick ovens for 72 hours versus an autoclave that cooks it in 12. It's a microwave versus crock pot.
So you're saying you get a better product out of not doing it for 12 hours?
If you take a little more time in it, yes.
Gotcha.
Does that boost the bottom line? No, it takes a little bit longer, but you get a better quality product. So as far as our role in deciding that, we got to pick what barrels, and we were able to pick what time we wanted our Reposado and our Añejo. Obviously, with what distillery it was, we got to pick what Highlands, Lowlands, but that. We drank a lot of tequila developing each time.
Oh, for all three distilleries?
Yeah. Because we always wanted to improve, too. Like, we saw the trend where it was, and as much as I give George Clooney shit, because I talk about him like he's going to listen to this one day. Hey, George.
He's listening right now.
But
Burn After Reading was
that first round of Casamigos, when they first came out, was pretty good freaking tequila.
It was really good.
It was great tequila. And I never tried it because I had something against him, and then I tried it and I was like, shit. He's on to something.
Good too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, well, maybe he's on to something. And it was that Highlands, a little bit sweeter, a little more, not so agave forward, that is what people wanted. And we wanted to go that route, but not completely. We definitely did on our newest distillery, but I still think we stayed true to tequila. Because once you get something in an oak barrel long enough, it can start your extra añejos, which we don't have. But you can start getting, we're like, well, am I even tasting tequila anymore?
When did Extra Añejo? That's a new
2005
category, but yeah,
2005.
It's not that old.
Really? It's only that?
Yeah.
Because I was doing promotions, pretty much right then.
Yeah.
For Extra Añejos.
I'm almost positive it's 2005.
And I don't know what brand introduced it. I know that Patron was one of the first ones I saw, but I don't know what brand introduced
I would
that
almost say
category.
Sauza.
More than likely.
So think about this, though, and it's funny, and you can see how these trends start happening, and I can feel my hands going across the table and Oliver getting mad.
No, it's fine if you rub it.
Clockwise
no tapping.
direction. Oh, no.
Oliver just likes to
But
rub.
it's funny, so you can see, obviously those guys, when tequila came to the market, premium-wise, it was all Blanco-based, right? Even Patron was branded basically as a premium spirit. They didn't want to be branded as tequila.
Well, right at that same time, what was the king of the... more so than it's ever been, vodka was just crushing things.
I
was
can also
Grey
speak
Goose,
on that
right.
too. For working downtown, a lot of people who drink Patron didn't even realize that Patron was a tequila.
No one did. I'll take Patron. Oh, we don't have that. We have other tequila.
It was definitely people who were affected by the way the Patron was marketed, especially in urban culture and things like that. But I remember working at Flamingo Bowl, and there was guys I was cool with, and no, I don't want any tequila tonight. I'll do Patron. And I'd be like, bro, that's tequila, man. And
I want a Grey Goose and vodka, please.
yeah.
I mean, the same.
Shout out to Sidney Frank. Rest in peace. A lot of people probably don't know that name.
I'm like,
Zach,
Big name.
Didn't we hear that Patron was marketed as the vodka's drinkers tequila or something like
Actually, yes. I was just about to give you shit because I thought you were about to repeat the same thing. Who said that to us? That's a great point.
who said that?
that? I forgot who it was.
Like that came from like a marketing guy? Or
Yeah.
No.
No.
No, it came
Somebody
from an
told us.
industry person. I forgot who it was.
You know what's crazy was at one point
Yes, I remember that.
they were one of the biggest contributors to the Bartenders Guild too.
It was a bar that. Fuck, it was a bar that we.
I mean, I will say
recently
they
went
still host those things
think
down
about
at their. I don't know. It's not their actual distillery, but it's I forget what they call it, the Casa or something like that.
It's goofy too. I've heard a lot of different stories about that. I've heard somebody tell me it's super legit because it's like where you see the Patron Roca made.
Yeah.
But then like I've heard other stories when they first started doing it. Some of my Kansas City bros were like, yeah, like they were like, look at this, don't look at that room, look at this, don't
It's
look
like
at that.
Willy Wonka.
But then I think Kyle told me he went and he said everything was super legit, like, and he spoke really highly of it. And like the way that I know Kyle and I imagine how you guys know Kyle is like, if he's gonna shit on something, I mean Patron would be something he'd shit on. And
Yeah.
I will say that about the man. We had, I think we were both in kind of incognito at a Trace Agave's presentation. And I watched that man ask questions.
What do you mean?
And they were very legitimate questions that
Yeah.
actually drove, I guess, the dog and pony show they were putting on for bars. Not to say they don't have people that really know what they're doing, but the people that were doing this presentation like had no answers. I mean, this guy.
Trace Agaves.
I mean, yeah,
No,
and I mean,
and Kyle was
he
grilling
wasn't,
them.
but he was doing it because I think in his mind he was trying to get to the truth of again that's where
What's the
bartenders learned autoclave that day. These were all things that they don't really bring up, and bartenders want to know because I mean these were Mission Taco bartenders. Tequila's kind of their thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, getting that information out of him. But he's a hawk, so if anybody knows anything about tequila,
Yeah,
or who would
but,
be upset by something, it would.
Kyle and I have both sat through a lot of seminars like that. Patron did the seminar in Kansas City that we both went to. I walked out of it, and I even
I'm
had people
offended
be like,
at you, sir.
I had people be like, dude, like you just fucked up. Like you're not going to get a certification. And I go, it doesn't mean anything, and it's stupid. But like the guy that was speaking was just going through somebody worked in a marketing firm for him. Someone did the research, and they made a PowerPoint presentation, and they taught him how to speak it, and that was it.
Yeah.
And people would ask him questions. He goes, I smoke cigarettes. I can't taste this shit. This is what you're supposed to be doing anyway. And then, like, he was explaining to these people, like, why everyone else is selling $20 cocktails. So putting Patron Roca in your fucking margarita is just a $20 margarita, and that's totally fine. And that's, like, how he explained it. And it was, like, he was shrugging the whole time he was talking to us. And then it was just like, this is a fucking joke.
I mean, there's a weird argument to the fact of, not to over worship some products just because they're expensive and stuff and to not use them in cocktails. But I mean, like to act like it doesn't matter. I mean, you'd like to think that the higher up you go, up the tier, the more subtle the difference.
The funny thing though is like that's a barrier of entry too, So like,
explain barrier of entry. I don't.
Like just the price.
Somebody's first margarita
the
isn't
price
going to be a $20
that's what I was
fucking
trying to figure
margarita.
out was the price alone was
Right,
because it's so
like,
expensive. Like, how do we sell it?
I want you to buy this $45 bottle of tequila, and you should want this because everyone just says that it's great. And for the people who are like, you know what, I know about Patron, I hear about it like this, I see it on TV, like this is what fucking Rick Ross drinks, like this is what I want to fucking drink, like.
Hello, John.
Who's John?
Little John.
Well, John.
Little John.
It's like, no, I mean, and again, I think that's why I bring it up so much is because I think hand in hand with craft cocktails and knowledge of spirits, marketing and branding is such a large part of this industry and has, I mean, you get into like beer wars and stuff. You talk about what Budweiser pays for even just shelf placement in a Walmart. I mean, it's incredible. So, I mean, yeah, Patron, they kind of invested enough and made this brand into something so huge that it kind of didn't matter what they release. Somebody out there, like your guy in Texas, wants to go buy a $700 bottle of tequila.
But it's crazy to me that like small businesses like like Big O and Una Vida and things like that, like they have the wherewithal to have these personal connections and understand that, like, what people like us want to hear. So think about Patron like doing a huge event, bringing in bartenders from all over the metro area. Like not even metro area. I mean, it was, I think 3 states went to the one I went to. I mean, it was a full convention.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's pretty big.
And
to have bartenders walk out. That doesn't sound like you're doing.
and to have people
Totally walk out. It's like
to have people just shrug it off and like be like, you know, you guys are the experts. You should be telling me. And like, I mean, he came out just being like, you're the people who are ruining my brand. You're the ones who say that my tequila's shit. And
he was a little caustic about it, huh? Like, just came
Damn.
out. I didn't realize he was being.
at the same time, like, so you would be like, if you had that position, if I had that job, I would be like, this is why it's great, and this is why we believe in it. And like, obviously, they're obviously autoclaved. It's practically is vodka with agave in it, you know. But like, I would have to own that, but I would have to say why it's better. And instead, he was just like, you guys are the fucking experts.
Well, here are some, I know brands that I won't bring up that, you know, go through a similar process and still do well in the market because that individual believes in that product and can tell you why it's good for you.
So,
or for your program anyway.
I guess my question for you guys would be, you guys being in the I guess buying industry for bars, is what would you look for local brands or brands in general that would make you buy their brand in a place of others?
That's what we've been talking about. Like,
Support.
it's the personal interest.
Okay.
They care about their product. Like you said, you wanted to go and find out, you know, what profile works for you, something that's not already on the market. It wasn't about turning a quick buck.
Right.
You know, a lot of these distilleries start and they get these low-end products because they've got to make money on the bottom line. Then they'll work on their craft stuff. You guys just went all in on doing a quality product.
Yeah.
Right.
Where's the turning point of moving from bigger brands to smaller brands that are meeting those recommendations that you have?
It's a case-to-case situation because when you deal with high-volume brands, generally those are manufactured with a lot of like behind-the-door deals and handshake deals and stuff like that. So like, you know, I've been in situations where I'm tied up and it compromises relationships that I've had. When everything's good to go, like when I'm running smaller scale things, it's solely just like, these are my relationships and this is what's going on. This is what like the spirit world means to me, and therefore because it's a reflection of myself, I'm able to throw it out there. But you know, like with high volumes, like you're kind of playing this game of like, okay, like who can I take care of, how can I take care of them, because there should be enough for everybody. But like the thing is, if you do a handshake deal with Diageo, which I don't do a lot of business with, so I feel fine using them as an example because I'm not talking them down this time. But just say like, if I have a deal with Diageo, like, and I have another spiced rum that I care about, like, well, that conflicts with Captain Morgan. So like, how do I?
No, it's very symbiotic, and I think it's a huge nightmare of mine. Anytime I take over any new program, it's not about, like somebody told me once before. Well, what somebody told me once before, it's not who you include, it's who you leave out. And so like, you get in and like, I have all these things that I like, and there's a lot more than you might realize, like, of great products out there. And then you come into somewhere, it's like, well, here's our budget. So like, that's a realistic thing you have to deal with, and so you have to pick and choose, like, who can I spend premium prices on? Who do I have to make deals with because of, you know, it's a little less expensive. It's, you know, there's individuals and brands for each thing. So yeah, it's case by case, it's symbiotic, and that's why bar managing's, like, if you're a bar manager, like, 'cause that's a whole other skill.
Right.
Like, if you're good at that, that's tough. Like, it's tough to make everybody happy, and impossible, really.
Well, it's just not. That's not how it works, though. But you know, in the other game of it, and the thing that's lost on it, which is frustrating too, is like half the people you're dealing with, like, in a way, they're working for you, and the ones that are really good on the number side and not good on the personal side, and they don't have that connection, like, they try to make you feel like you're working for them. And the worst thing about it is, like, you know, you don't owe these people anything. Like, there's nothing with this business. Like,
no, I may be in all Una Vida gear at the moment. Tomorrow I'll have an Old Forester t-shirt on.
Right,
like, I stick with the brands that I like, and I consider myself a free agent as far as that goes. But I feel like, you know, you've got to keep an open. If you're going to run a beverage program, you have to kind of have an objectivity there too.
Well, and that's kind of been our whole thing, and is even when I learned when I worked for the previous tequila brand, was coming from my standpoint as a supplier, if you're dependent on a distributor to sell your product, you're out of business before you even start, because those guys come in and see you with a product book that's got 5,000 products, and especially when you're talking about Southern Glazers, I'm not knocking Southern Glazers by any means, but obviously they're the country's largest distributor, is when they come in with a portfolio that big, me being a new guy or a small supplier, they're not even going to, when you've got 100 different tequilas, what's going to make them recommend one over the other? So that's where, like, having people on the streets meeting you individually is how you make progress.
Not to mention, every time I've consulted for an up-and-coming brand, I've always tried to get them to go to Classique or Vintegrity, or these really small, like, wine.
Or understand you need to have boots on the ground that represent your brands.
Yeah, everybody that I've dealt with in those companies is enthusiastic about what they're doing, and there's not like a number of a certain product.
Those people are educated about it, but more than that, like, it's not the same. It's not the house that Jim Beam built. So, like,
no shit.
Your reps aren't the ones trying to sell Beam or trying to sell Jack. You know, like, I have a good close friend that was one of the best reps that Glazers had, and like, he used to pretty much one of his accounts was Taste when Ted Kilgore was running it. And he would purposely block out his day to go there and ask Ted questions about everything he didn't know on that catalog.
I mean, that's the guy to go
sell
ask.
But, like, you know, like, how many Glazers reps do you think even know how to explain what liquor strega is?
I know one.
Right.
I know one, and when I lost him, I was just so bummed. But it's hard because they have such, like, the irony in the fact that they have the largest catalog and the least amount of training or knowledge on it, I think
is fucking ass backwards. Is ass backwards.
But I imagine a 30 to 45-minute meeting every morning about brands that are going to make, commissions work for them for whatever reason.
It's all who's getting spiffed.
And then that's what I get. They can come and hit me. Hey, when are you going to pick up Absolute? Well, I'm not. Like, and we had the discussion. I get that you had the meeting this morning, but I'm more interested in other things. But that's where you're starting to get into things like with Buffalo Trace or Sazerac in general, where now you want these great antique products. Well, you can have them if you buy these brands. Yeah. And then,
allocations.
That's huge.
You know all about them.
I hate playing the game, but at the same time, it's its own high. I'll tell you that. Like, really trying to play numbers, whether you have a big budget or a little budget, and trying to find that bottle that nobody else is going to get. Again, it's a clever way to do it. It's somewhat incentivized, but still, they've got you on a barrel. Now you have to have Fireball. I run a craft cocktail bar. There's no interest in Fireball. We have to have Fireball if you want the antique collection.
Well, so have you guys ever booted a bigger brand for a smaller brand?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
I've kicked out lots of big brands for a smaller brand.
So for Tony and Andy, like, I mean, if you want to elaborate on that, what were the characteristics of the smaller brand that booted out those bigger brands?
I kicked Diageo out of a bar in the Grove based solely on one of their reps.
And if you don't know, Diageo being a giant portfolio of things like Crown Royal, Johnny Walker, Jameson, these are huge brands, so to say no to it as a whole is a pretty big statement.
Yeah.
If you didn't know.
So
I love Kettle One, and I kicked Kettle One out of my own.
And that's
so, like, amazing. I mean, this is biased, but to say, so, like, if someone booted Patron for Una Vida,
first thing I did when I got to Chow Bon, which was 6 months ago now, Patron is no longer on that back bar, and Una Vida is. Okay. So, I mean, it happens when you have a better relationship.
When I was running smaller bars like that, like this would be, it used to be.
Stop calling a bar small, bro.
Sorry.
They don't even know.
When I used to run very capable, efficient bars like this, more craft forward bars, definitely we wouldn't carry Patron because I had the time to be like, look, man, like, I have Tequila Ocho. It's actually.
Patron's going to hit their sales.
Their regions, their regions are kind of close, but, like, this is our house Patron. It's way better.
Because you're not,
and, like,
nobody's asking for 4 different kinds of tequila.
I had time to do it. I also never carried Jack. When I was working at Layla, we never carried Jack, and it was because, like, I just think it's inferior. If you want Tennessee whiskey, I have a better Tennessee whiskey, or I have some rye that you might like, but, like, and only once, and it was like, it was this girl's birthday party, and, like, this guy only drinks Jack, and that's it. And, like, one time I got cussed out for not carrying Jack, but
So if you're not carrying Jack,
Empowered
what
me.
Tennessee style whiskey do you like to carry?
I mean, I carry Bell Mead.
Bell Mead's the one. Okay,
Yeah.
good. I was just making sure they're wearing up.
Well, I think that's a whole thing that people may not grasp in this industry is we're the only country in the world that still has a 3-tier alcohol distribution
Because of
system.
why?
Because of Anheuser-Busch.
Well, in Prohibition.
Well,
yes.
yeah.
But yes, Anheuser-Busch is a repeat offender in that.
But I mean, so like when and Quench Your Thirst, Jim Koch, is it Jim Koch? It should be Jim Koch, founder of Boston Beer Company, Sam Adams.
Yep.
I read that book, and that book changed my whole outlook on how to run a business from the supplier side. As far as he still has 250 Boston Beer Company reps throughout the country that work only for him. So if there's a problem with your keg lines or beers or anything like that, they come in and change the line. You're not worried
They
about
were
a
so
distributor rep.
Influential that I know that the craft beer industry changed.
Yes.
The entire craft beer category used to you had to be below 5 million barrels and
Yep.
you could be craft beer, but because they were so instrumental in making it a category, I think they bumped it up to 15.
And then he even, when they were going to do their go public, they had all this banking system, and he totally bucked the system and put a sticker on every 6-pack that literally anyone that bought a 6-pack had the opportunity to invest in their IPO, which was unheard
Now, that
of.
was actually, so yeah, that was his company. I'm
Yeah.
going to look her up. There was a lady, if you ever watched Beer
Yes,
Wars, where
yes,
she
yes,
helped him launch
Tanya,
all
not
that.
Tanya.
I'm going to look it up, but she did Bottle Rocket.
Yes.
And Budweiser created B to the E, if you remember it. It was the first caffeinated beer. Yeah, like this was like late 90s, early 2000s.
But he talks so highly of her. I know who you're talking about.
They actually
Yes.
created a brand to defeat her because they were so scared of her doing it again.
Yeah.
I want to get her name because credit where credit's due. But yeah, like.
But that's a huge thing too. Is
Well, it's kind of funny
for you
too,
guys, like
because-
you kick a brand out because of a distributor rep, not a supplier rep, right? So I'm dependent on on a distributor rep to represent my brand at the end of the day, right? If somebody's going to try to sell you Una Vida New, it's more than likely going to be a distributor rep, which they may be a complete asshole and not know what they're doing,
Well,
but they're
also,
still
like-
representing my
also,
brand.
But you're in the house that Beam built, so like
Right.
I'm not worried about that. Pure Vita?
No, Vita.
Pure Vita. I know, yeah.
That's another
yeah,
tequila
yeah.
brand, right? So now you're getting to the point.
I'm
Vita
getting to
Tequila-
the point. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Vida Tequila, their owner John something, who's a
That's
husband
his
of the
actual
Real
last
House,
name,
John,
something.
the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City.
Oh, Dolce Vita.
No, fuck off! I know what you're doing now. He messaged us, and we hadn't even launched. We had registered at Una Vida, and he sends us a message through Facebook. Hey, I want to let you guys know I have Vita, the term Vita, trademarked in the tequila category. You guys cannot use this. I'm letting you know now. You
Pretty
should.
general
you should.
word.
I was new to business.
Sorry, no.
But that's the exact point. Like, hey, I need you to stop this. I need to delete all your stuff. This is, and so send it to our investors who are like, you don't send a cease and desist through a Facebook message. But this guy did it to us because we were brand new, and I'm sitting there shitting my britches at dinner, like, oh my god, it's over. We didn't
Just
even
like
get
down
off the
Google
ground.
image.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we didn't even get off the ground. But no, because then I started thinking, well, wait a second. There's a Pura Vida on the shelf. There's a Dolce Vita on the shelf. Like, why can't there be an Una Vida on the shelf if you're just Vita? But I mean, no, the owner of that brand literally messaged us through Facebook trying to give us a cease and desist, but it was obviously just
So this
Just
organically
a
goes into a
flex.
question I have, which I think is just something that maybe people need to know about. We don't talk about it a lot, especially like through beer brewers or you're doing spirits. You recently, and we won't have to talk about what or who, made a private label for another tequila. It was still your brand, but this was a private label. The act of making a label
Yes.
for a spirit is its own freaking process.
yes.
Can you break it down quickly? Is there anything interesting there other than just the paperwork? But I feel like you can't just make a beer or a spirit and then like slap a sticker on it and send it out. Like there's
Right. So TTB is the federal organization that does all label and flavor profiling formulas as far as federal approval.
they're kind of like the FDA of.
Yes.
Okay.
The TTB is the FDA of booze. So we have to submit a label and a formula that matches up to all their codes. So yeah, starting a private label or doing something else, I mean, you're talking at least 2 months. But you have to have all the right terminology.
What happens
brand,
if you miss a word or
you have to restart.
all the way over?
Yes.
And this works the
I
same
know.
way when you buy barrels too.
That's true.
Okay, wait a second.
Now,
I
I've
didn't
done
know
this.
this.
And I've done
Hang on,
that.
hang on.
Yeah.
Well, it used to be. Now there's workarounds. Like now, like everything's the same, but you put a
They
sticker
throw
on
a
it.
sticker.
But
Okay.
like back in
This
the
is why
day,
they make
like,
you- yeah.
the Elijah Craig barrel that me and Cider picked out.
Yes, I am familiar with that barrel.
That one was a big fucking deal because they got it barrel proof for one, and so
That was before that was not an expression of theirs at the time. Excuse me.
what was that?
Barrel strength or barrel proof. That wasn't an expression they were putting on the mass market at the time. I thought that was somewhat new.
No, that wasn't it. So like the thing was we went there to pick out an Elijah Craig barrel for them to water it down and then it be
Okay.
Elijah Craig that you guys would sell. He was so adamant, and this is the first barrel pick I went on, so I didn't know shit. And I was hanging out with Ryan. Are you familiar with Ryan? I think his last name is Wilmslimer.
No, I'm not.
He moved out. I don't even remember where he moved out with. Him and his wife moved. They're great people. One of my favorite fucking bartenders ever. But I went with him, and who I very much looked up to, and you know, like Matt was just like, we want this a barrel proof, and they kind of like, yeah, okay, we'll do it, you know. And it was just a different time. Like now you do that, I think you'd be laughed out of the fucking distillery. But it took that much longer for them to get it because you know, their single barrel was set up to be a single barrel, so they already had that single barrel label put on.
Yeah, but you have several people coming through to pick barrels, so this is cookie cuttered for them to make this easier on the process.
And
But if
Matt,
they're going to go
Matt made it
outside of
difficult.
it,
Matt made it difficult, and they were like,
Matt making anything difficult sounds uncharacteristic.
but you know, I think you know that added on some stuff. But some single barrels are still like that. Like some single barrels. That
Well, I was saying, like, at the time, this would have been, what, 2013, 14? I don't know that Elijah Craig had a single barrel expression out. Is that true or false? I feel like that was somewhat new in the last 4 or 5 years.
yeah.
So, like, you may
I think
be
it
one of
was
the only ones that had it, period.
I think it was just a reply to the fact that they knew that. You know, Willett's actually responsible for this. That they lost their 12-year-old statement.
But because of labeling, like, or mislabeling?
No, so the thing was whatever contract that Heaven Hill has with Willett, somehow it affects their Elijah Craig surplus to where they had to figure out how to take supply from lesser bourbons, so they couldn't put a 12-year-old age statement on it because there was no Elijah Craig small batch back then. It was Elijah Craig 12-year.
Yeah. No, that was pretty well it. Then their occasional 18, but interesting into the bourbon world. But yeah, like nitpickiness of labels and such. Like my point being to that being it's
so
such
bad.
it's not an easy. It's a tedious process.
Yeah.
It's not to be taken lightly. It's not like somebody gets in Photoshop, makes a fun label, we send it in the mail, we get our stamp, and it's fucking ready to go.
Did you ever meet Bill and Kathy from Big O?
I have not.
Man,
Phenomenal people. We'll have them on for sure.
Yeah.
They are wacky.
They changed their label, and it hit right before a government shutdown.
So they just in limbo, I would imagine.
And they watched their inventory just fucking sink, and like to the point where they're like, I don't know if I can sell Big O in St. Louis right now. And like, luckily it just came through. But like,
I've seen it happen to local breweries that I won't bring up, but like they had a label, they had a beer ready, they had the label ready, and it came back that like they did not do the paperwork correctly. So it took beer, which has a timeline, not like spirits, like where you've got a longer shelf life. Like they had to wait another 2 months. So I mean, I can't imagine loss and waste.
Well, I will
and
say that's why we get the label approval before we produce.
It seems like you would measure before you cut, but yeah.
Well, and I mean, it's so bad, like on the government warning on the back or wherever you put the government warning, where most spirits brands put it on the back of the bottle. If there's a comma missing, if certain things aren't capitalized.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's not
basic-
just, you mislabeled. I'm
no.
talking about
Like
government forms. If you, not that they
Yes.
like can't oh, there's clearly supposed to be a comma there. Let me get that for you. Nope, it's got to go back. It's got to be manually
All back through.
freaking done.
Yes, absolutely.
So when you discontinue a label,
and we've got another
it's a
brand.
lot of work.
So we did that private label where the restaurant logo was above the Una Vida logo. Well, that's not allowed. And the restaurant logo can't be more prominent than the Spirit Brand's logo. So
So
you
you
had
not
to
only have to
switch
be
them.
on top, it's got to be a size
It's got to
difference
be
as
more
well.
prominent because it is that brand's product.
You just
for that
kind
bar.
of have a stamp on
It's
there.
not that restaurant's,
It's true. That'd be okay. I didn't
has
realize
to
they
be.
looked at it as that
Oh,
was
yeah.
okay.
because it's still, and it's funny because we're doing another one for another restaurant group, and probably shouldn't tell this fucking story either, but who cares? We're past 12:30, so we're doing one.
It's 3 p.m, man. Come on. I gotta go pick up my kids from soccer practice.
So listen to this. So we're doing one with Chicken and Pickle, right? Chicken and
All right.
Pickle's in Kansas City. They're in Wichita, San Antonio, getting ready to open Grand Prairie, getting ready to open up Oklahoma City. So all the other state approvals. So not only do you have to get it approved federally, and then you have to submit it to the state, whatever state you're going to sell this product in. So we submit it to all the states. No one has an issue but Texas, because Texas says you can't have a private label. So we call them.
Define private, yeah.
So we call them, and Bryce has the lady on speakerphone. He's like, "Hey, why didn't you approve this?" And she goes, "Well, you can't have a restaurant. You can't have an on-premise logo on your bottle. That's not allowed." And it hits me literally when he's on the phone. And I tell him to mute it. We have a code word for mute it. I'm like, bullshit. Hooters has their own Spirit line in all the Hooters in Texas. That's a lie. What's going on? So then I'm like, ask her, what does Hooters do? And he goes, hey, I understand what you're saying, but also I have a question for you. How does Hooters get away with their own line of spirits? And you hear her go, well, I'm not allowed to talk about these things, but I can refer you to our legal department. Bryce goes, okay. And so then the conversation keeps going. She goes, technically, Trader Joe's shouldn't have their own line. Technically, Kirkland, Costco, shouldn't have their own spirits, but all these guys do. And we're like, okay, so how do we do it? She's like, I can't approve it. I just have to refer you to the legal team. So we hang up the phone, and Bryce and I have this conversation of, all right, we may not be able to afford it, but somebody literally takes money and puts it in somebody in the TABC's pocket and says, hey, I'm Mr. Costco. I have Kirkland whiskey.
And
I've got
that's who
Kirkland
that is,
tequila.
Mr. Costco.
I've got Kirkland this, and
Where's
this.
our producer? Who owns
and,
Costco?
and Mr. Trader Joe, you're not going to mess with us. So Bryce is like, oh, well, I'm going to keep calling. And Bryce called and left voicemails on the legal team for the TABC's thing and says, hey, I want to know what's going on. No one returned our phone calls. And then all of a sudden, the label that wasn't approved because it had the restaurant's logo on it, got approved.
Illuminati. Are you serious?
Serious.
That is amazing.
Swear
That's a
to
great
God.
story. That's crazy.
Got approved. Because we were closing them off.
They would rather do that than explain
blame you.
themselves.
Yeah.
Yes.
How much
okay.
it costs or who's
Sure. And why
the
not? Like, why
lobbyist,
would you
right.
call them?
We're not going to say anything other than this podcast. We're not going to say anything. Like,
we
hey,
didn't
cool, thanks.
sign anything,
Right.
so it's cool.
But I mean, it was that because literally when he was on the phone, I was like, no, that's a lie. We went. I'm a restaurant guy. We went to Hooters in Texas, and I'm like, they had their own line of spirits. That's a crock of shit. They're lying. And
Is
then-
it just called Hooters Spirits?
Yeah.
Oh, they don't like get clever with it?
No.
All right. Like a lost opportunity to me, but it's like
It's literally like
I mean, whatever. I mean, seriously, it's
their whole-
Hooters. Like the sky's the freaking limit.
Their whole back bar is nothing but clear bottles with a frosted owl on it with the Hooter eyes.
Man, they did some fancy work.
All of it.
Frosted
All
owls.
of it.
That's man.
Frosted owls, the whole lineup.
You guys make a little Moscow Mule. We don't have any vodka. Oh wait,
But that's where
We got our vodka.
That's where the lady messed up. She's like, well, yeah, Hooters does it, but Costco does it. Like, that's not allowed.
Which Costco?
Trader Joe's does it, and we're like, So how does this happen? She's like, I can't tell you.
The Costco thing's super interesting to me in general because it's they actually do a good job in their sourcing, but you'll never get these premium, like they get Macallan, they get Ardbeg, like, and then they call it something else, but they put it down to standard proof, so it's 80 proof. There's nothing that's over that.
Right.
So, I mean, but hey, what a heck of a freaking model, and it's not garbage. Like they're not just taking neutral grain,
They're
and
Añejo tequila.
it's all
The first
legitimate
one is
product.
I mean, that's
It's a buying power.
Well, you have to do something with, again, going back to the branding aspect, if something's inconsistent with the day-to-day product that they're trying to sell, what do you do with it? It can't just be a waste. It's such a time-consuming product no matter what spirit you do.
Right. Yeah.
So you have to find these other outlets. That's why you have blended barrels, and you've got with like things like Old Scout where they take these orphan barrels and do things with them.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, they have to exist. I have no issue with that at all.
It's also part of the business that's just always has been, but everything is so brand heavy that they push it aside, Just how you were mentioning how 200 and some odd distilleries are making, what'd you say, 25,000 different?
2,500 brands.
2,500 different brands, Like,
it's a heck of a workload per.
right, but it's the same thing happening with the bourbon
Of course.
industry.
MGP.
Except,
People have heard of that.
right, but like you see people like turn their nose up to MGP, and it's like,
They make some of the brands you don't even know you're
Well,
fucking
it
drinking.
goes tandem, like it's case
And
by
also
case
the fact of the matter
scenario.
is,
Well, and that's
like,
how
MGP
some
used to
brands-
produce High West, which I
That's how
actually I
brands
might
get
get blown up,
started.
but I loved High West a lot more before Constellation bought them.
But now tell me, isn't that how a brand gets started, right? Because you can't buy time, right? So if you have to be in a barrel for bourbon for 2 years, is that correct? Or is it 4 years?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot of weird little rules about it, but ideally 2 years in a new oak barrel.
So if I want to start 2 years, so if I want to start a bourbon brand today, and I don't want to go hey, I want to start it now, and then
you don't want to
put
go from
stuff-
scratch. You want to go
Right.
in. There's nothing wrong with contracting. Again, it goes
Right.
back to what you guys do, which is going in and caring about the product and
Right.
sourcing something that makes sense to you versus, going in and get a lightly aged corn whiskey and then adding things and calling it whiskey. Or you go in and you just grab whatever is kind of cheap. I mean, Redemption is a great business model. But I mean, I don't know that there's ever been a consistent profile for me for Redemption, and it's nothing against it. We need all of these outlets, and it's well received. There's no hate on it. But again, that's where I draw lines, which is, does it look like somebody went in and spent time sourcing, or does it look like somebody wanted to create a label and make money on a
well,
brand?
it's also the fact of the matter though, like MGP makes great whiskey.
They have a
Yeah,
pristine
period.
water source.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
of course.
and so like, there's this brand and that brand, and people are going to
People
do what
wanna
they have
knock
to
it, but
do.
don't realize a lot
I
of those
never
brands
talked to
are
a whiskey brand that didn't say like, we're never going to open up our own distillery and we don't want to go for it. It's just the fact that like,
It takes time. It's expensive,
Right.
and you got to get licensing and all this
Yeah.
other. I mean, I don't. There's nothing like somebody somewhere in an Up Rocks article wrote freaking something about the four walls, and all of a sudden for 4 or 5 years we hated MGP when I don't think much had
yeah.
changed.
But at the same time, like every tequila that everyone has loved, regardless of what brand it is, it's the same thing. There's not a single tequila distillery out there who only makes one thing.
Nope. That sure shit isn't. Well, that's a lot of things that people don't know is you get. What was the big one? There was a time when Avion, Casamigos, and Herradura were made at the same distillery.
I believe that.
And people are like, oh, well, no. There's no way. They're so different. That's the glory of whether your cooking method and all that, and tequila and your barrel
Nobody
aging.
said they didn't diversify.
Because there's distilleries that do both, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are distilleries that have a traditional brick oven, which takes the longest, an autoclave, which takes the second longest, and then a diffuser, which is super
instant,
microwaving.
right.
Yeah. They literally spray the agave with so much chemicals that it heats it up and it's done in 8 hours. So you go from 72
Tequila by Monsanto.
Exactly. So you go from 72 hours in a traditional brick with around 18 to 24 in autoclave and 6 with diffuser. And there are brands that are okay being diffuser.
Of course, because it's
Casa
more about a
Dragones.
bottom
Casa
line.
Dragones. Everybody loves Casa
And I'm not
Grisones.
saying that like.
And it's not a bad product.
No,
but just
I
understand
say
what
like
you're drinking.
there's
I
nothing.
don't
It's
know
not
it.
that
I
you
don't
can't
have it.
say
I've
that
never had it.
everything
And
has
it's
its
so-
own
it's a-
identity.
It's a $150 bottle of Blanco. And it's diffuser tequila. And they have no problem telling you any of that.
Is it like one
does
of
it
those
taste
fancy,
good?
crazy bottles?
Nope, it's a fucking
Well, shoot.
ass bottle.
What, like the biggest brand? I would say the one that's made the biggest splash, I guess, in the last couple of years is Casamigas.
Yeah.
Is that right? No, Casa Azul is what I'm thinking.
Oh, Clase Azul.
Clase
yeah.
Azul. It's got the bell on the top. It's got
Yeah.
the big painted bottle.
Oh, yeah, it looks great.
Yeah, and I mean, it's in every. You want to talk about OnlyFans videos? Like they all got them. That is a sponsored by situation. And you told me, or it was Bryce that told me, somebody leaked a rumor that technically it's only barely classified as tequila because they use a pineapple additive post.
Not confirmed. nor
No,
deny that.
neither will I make you say that. But you know, it was again going back to marketing and branding. A
people
lot of
love
things.
it and
Yeah,
drink
of
it.
course. And there's nothing wrong with it. There's. I mean, if it's delicious, it's hard for me to justify the price point at that level. But
We all know there are brands.
You're paying for the bottle.
Oh, yes.
bing, it's got a real bell and you hit
There
it. It's
are
hilarious.
brands that have had amazing juice, no matter what the category is. If the bottle, the branding, and the marketing sucks, no one will ever hear about it.
Right.
And you have brands that the juice is trash. If the bottling, the branding, and everything is great,
And that goes
everybody
back to
knows it.
Patron. Not to call it trash, but it was the marketing and the tissue
Yes.
paper, the box. I mean, I think I've had that discussion with both of you before. Like when I consider what I pay per ounce for certain spirits, and I have to ask myself, how much of that is the actual,
Juice.
vessel that it comes in, like the box, the stuff. Like how much am I paying of this $48 bottle just for the packaging that it comes in?
Right.
Not to say that again, that's what sells it. It's just like a weird paradox.
If you guys can, briefly. Unless I'm trying to chip in on another podcast, but how did you guys get started in the industry?
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
Well,
You want me to go first?
yeah, age before beauty.
Thanks. There's pretty much I got a car. I left my house. And I went to Creepy Crawl every night. And
What's a creepy crawl?
so Creepy Crawl was this old dive bar on Tucker and Locust. And they pretty much was just a really shithole punk rock bar. And exactly.
I'm saying like the whole world's shocked to hear.
But it's actually kind of infamous because on their website they had like 30 rules for bands, and it was just like these are the way that bands annoy us. And like once Reddit got a hold of it, like we were kind of famous for being like the fuck you bar, and that was kind of true. But like I grew up there, like I was a typical like teenager, like into like new metal and stuff like that, and I started hanging out with all these people who were like really into old punk rock and like actually got to live through it. Wilson, my late friend St. Wayne, they were like the first people that ever really like talked to me, and were pretty fucking positive influences. But I think after being there for like 2 months, going every night and seeing every show, like Wilson, who we got to get him on but
Brian.
no, his name's Jason Wilson.
Uh-oh.
But if you ever went to Creepy Crawl, you'd remember him. He was this guy. He has a big scar from his lip all the way down his chin, and he always has a perfect pompadour.
What do you get the scar from?
I think a bike accident. But one of the toughest guys I've ever met in my life, but also one of the greatest people ever. But he just stopped charging me. He's like, "You're not even here for this band. Like, you just want to be here for music, you know?" And so I just lived there. And then when I turned 21, he was like, "Well, you've been here long enough. I mean, you have to think they knew me for 5 years at that point. And they're like, you have a job." And I was a bouncer. And then out of that, I bartended only out of necessity, but I watched and learned a lot. And like, it was an environment where we got to do anything and everything you wanted to do. I was like, I wasn't drinking at the time. I didn't start drinking until I was 23, but like when that did happen, like if I got into a fight, I was rewarded with a shot of Jaeger. I was like, you know, like when we told people like, sorry, you can't come in, they'd be like, why? And you say, fuck you, that's why. And like
Just when you're a jet, you're a jet all the way.
it was a pat on the back, and like that's how we ran things. And it was
Pretty dope.
They got little leather jackets in there, they're combing their hair back.
you know, and I mean, we could do a whole podcast just based on experiences in Creepy Crawl, which when we get Bob Fancher in here, that's definitely going to be one that, I mean, his stories are going to fucking outlast mine even more, because he was a little bit older and he was just more jaded and a lot wiser than I was at the time. He's also, you know, that guy was kind of a genius. He was a bartender there, and I mean, idiot savant for sure. But
There's a lot of us out there.
yeah, but pretty much like just based on necessity, I was really interested in the bar from there, and then we moved, and I helped build the second Creepy Crawl in Grand Heights, and at some point I became a manager there because I was one of the guys that wasn't stealing from them, and then I just bartended out of necessity, and then I moved over to 2 Cents Plain, and I was like the head of security for them or whatever. But it was the same thing, like bartending out of necessity, and that was that. You know, 2 Cents Plain was really
So
cool.
what eventually got you into the craft of it, I guess? Because you have a knack.
So there's
for it.
two things that happened, right? Because like
Music brought you in, but what made you kind of gear toward?
there was two things that were really big. One of them was me meeting my buddy Vinoy, and we were at Foo Bar. Nobody gave a fuck about that place that worked there. Like, it's kind of a weird thing to say, but like it was just like kind of like a fucking party spot for us, you know. And the bartenders that worked there didn't really clean that much or anything like that. But Vinoy worked there once or twice a week, and I mean that guy is definitely. I have the utmost respect for the dude ever, but like he's the one who taught me just how to care. So like that's how I got attention to detail and having standards, and like me and him would close together, you know. And I think it was before I even started really bartending that much there, but like he was the one that we'd go to the store and buy fresh fruit, so the shitty punk rock dive bar could have fucking limes and people's gin and tonics. And like him and I would mop the whole fucking venue, even though we didn't have to,
Yeah.
you know. But like he just had
like he's like mentoring you into like actual hospitality
like
at a
he
place
just had
that
like
may
a
not have
huge sense of
existed.
pride, but he wouldn't even think of it like that, you know. He just cared about what he did, and like I don't think he ever did it to teach me anything. I think he just knows the right things to do, and he doesn't. And like in that environment, for somebody to have as much integrity and process the standards that he did, like it meant a lot to me, and it processed, like I just sucked it in, you know. So bartending was always a thing. I'd jump back and forth to it, you know, and I always got to do like punk rock bars, so I dealt with every dive situation you can handle. At one point, the owner of Foo Bar walked in, some guy told me to go fuck myself, and I put my fucking pocket knife in the fucking bar, and I said, grab that fucking knife and see how tough you are. And the owner walks in, he's like, Tony, why is there a knife in my fucking bar? The guy didn't grab the knife.
Luckily,
Luckily for me, I'm sure. It was a different time. I'm much more calm.
As he looks into the camera, I'm much more calm.
it's okay. No raging here.
Man, this is really good.
It is.
Good job.
Good job.
Thanks.
Good job on your cocktail.
It's great.
You did so good.
I can't imagine
about positive
cocktails were
reinforcement.
popular at a punk bar.
No. So that
Okay.
you know, I messed around with dumb stuff, and I just tried to make dumb drinks, and I failed miserably at it. I was terrible at it. So then I start working, and this whole time I'm touring in a band, right? And then I start touring Between the Buried and Me, and like all these huge acts. And
What was the name of the band that you toured with?
between the my band,
Yeah.
It was called Lie by Mistake, as in the chemical lie, or the chemical component.
That's one thing
Lie,
I didn't know about
LYE,
you.
By Mistake. It's a great band, and
Did your T-shirts have bars of soap
if you're
on
into
them?
tech metal, no, we never did that.
Man.
The whole thing about the name was it looked really good on paper, but to say it just, people go, live on a stick, and you're like, no, fucking.
Absolutely, yes. In fact,
Yeah.
change it. We're doing live on a
Yeah,
stick.
I wasn't that keen into marketing when I was 19. But
Who is?
so like, I had like an epiphany, and I was like, man, like our guitar player's a little bit older than me. Once he hits 40, like he's not gonna do this tour shit anymore. Because I mean, like we were DIY, and like I was driving around, like sleeping on people's fucking floors, like doing everything we could to just like keep going.
Yeah.
And
That's fucking awesome.
and I mean, like it worked. Like we were paying our bills. We were getting booking agents, management companies were talking to us, but then like we were touring with these metal bands that were hitting Billboard charts, and like I looked around, and like this one band that we toured with, was very popular, and it's not the situation they're in now, but it was just, they released the biggest record they ever released, and 3 of them still lived at home. One of them lived in a house with 5 other anarchists, and the other one was dating it. He's my age, but he was dating a 19-year-old girl and living with her at the time, which
I've seen this movie. It had Matthew Lillard in it. What was it?
So it was a terrible mistake, and I go, fuck, that band's as big as this band's ever gonna get.
Yeah.
And I got 5 years, and after that I got nothing to go for, And I mean, like, all the bills were paid and everything like that, but like we would go on the road for like 4 months at a time, and I'd come back with $200 left in spare change. And I mean, like, it's just not, it's not a way to do it, And I mean, that game, unfortunately, I think that metal game is it's a rich kid's game, and I also think that's why a lot of
You had a specific incident with this, didn't you?
No.
It
But
feels like-
I also think that's why a lot of like current metal music that comes out right now isn't very interesting, because people who are actually like
Rich kids don't have problems.
they're just fucking rich people don't make good music,
Yeah.
But
It's a note for you at home. If your parents got money and you got a guitar, give it up. It's true. Got to be hungry.
But so anyway, I kind of like snapped out of it, and I was like, I got to figure something else out, and and the whole time I'm bartending, I'm leaving my job, I'm coming back, working in venues and doing all this, and I've always had a free ride through college. I'm very fucking spoiled, and I never took it because it just never felt right. I went to school for journalism for a minute, and then I was like, I could love writing, but I hate writing on deadlines. And I just never found anything.
At the
that
time
stuck.
you got into journalism, college, went to college for journalism, who was your favorite author at that time?
I think Mark Twain.
Samuel Clemens. Here. Give it up for the Missouri man. All right, continue on. That's good. It's very jaded, but good.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, that's the point. But
Yeah, that's the whole point. I mean, he's incredible, and like obviously, I'm not talking about Tom Sawyer, but
Well, his original
his short
story about
stories.
the frog with the lead in the belly, and
Right.
like that was actually like some weird stolen story of some kind. But anyway,
Yeah.
it's on Drunk History. Watch it.
I just love how fucking bitter.
No, he is. No,
person he
there's
is,
more than Faulkner. He might hate his own hometown.
Yeah. But I didn't get into the beat authors till later on in life. So touring did that, and then I got a really big love for Kerouac and all those guys. Vonnegut, and then finally Bukowski's always rang the most for me, though.
I just keep waiting for Hunter S. Thompson to pop up here. It
Yeah,
was
Thompson-
everybody. It was
everyone
everybody's
loves
favorite. Like,
Thompson,
if you're into those, you're into that.
Yeah, but the whole thing was like I was straight edge till I was 23, and I had never really experienced hard drugs either. So it's just kind of like.
Hard to
But
identify.
with Bukowski, I've experienced like wanting women that don't care about you. I've experienced being a terrible drunk, and I've experienced like abuse, and I've experienced like
These aren't happy stories.
no.
Where do the cocktails come in?
Listen, we all know depression fuels creativity. This is being honest here.
Absolutely, yeah, no.
But you know what I'm saying? Like I just the Thompson's awesome, and I love the cynicism and just the hatred for the world that he had to fucking live in and punish himself through. But like, it just never hit right until probably now I would appreciate more. But anyway, to come back around, I went to school. Sorry, I'm a touring musician. I'm looking around, I'm like, this ain't gonna last. So I go back to school and I start studying astrophysics, and I love it.
I know. He said it at the beginning of the show.
But and I fucking
What a producer.
You're no Ross from Frasier, I'll say
you were
that.
taking a shit at the time. Sorry.
You were.
But it was like I was doing great. I was like I was a little bit older than people that I was going to school with, so I was actually hanging out with professors a little bit more. But I mean, I would sit down with a glass of whiskey and like write out fucking notebooks of proofs, and it was something I really enjoyed doing. And then I just needed a job, and I wanted a job I didn't have to care about. So,
How dare you, sir?
no, I mean,
I know.
you know, I was at the time I was working at K Hall Designs. Shout out to John and Kelly Barr, who now owns Frisco Ballroom. Frisco,
Yeah,
Frisco, just the Frisco, right?
It's Frisco. I think Frisco Ballroom. Why does that sound right?
I don't know.
But I know what you're talking about.
Webster Groves?
Oh, I think the Frisco Ballroom is a joint in San Francisco, but the Frisco,
The Frisco.
yeah.
In Webster Groves.
I love Frisco melts.
Yeah.
So, I was working for them, and it was serious. Like, it was a small company at the time, and they grew exponentially, and there was a lot of stress involved. And John and Kelly had a lot of growing pains, and we all felt it. And so I had a really stressful job, and they gave me a lot of opportunities, and they were good people, but I just didn't want anything I had to fucking care about. I didn't want to like get mad. I didn't want to get stressed out. So my buddy, who also used to work for him, was the kitchen manager at Flamingo Bowl, and he had me come over there, and I was like, this is great. I'm just gonna cook pizzas and not give a fuck about anything, get through school, and just keep going, you know. And shortly, my buddy left, and I'm addicted to caring about what I do. So I worked in the kitchen at Flamingo Bowl, and I just kept working. And then like I just kept getting more and more involved. And at the time, Seth Wallman was one of the managers there. And I was making like pizzas as weird as I could. And like we would do, every Sunday was a pizza day. So I would make like Thai pizzas with like peanut sauce and like pretty much pad Thai pizza and noodles.
I love noodles on pizza. It's delicious.
And then like I made a cheeseburger pizza, which was actually two pizzas on top of one.
Don't even get him started on cheeseburger.
It was like
pizzas.
but it was inverted, so the pizza shells were actually the buns.
Billy G's cheeseburger pizza.
And there was like a cheeseburger. It was like actually a cheeseburger.
Cheeseburger
sauce
made out of a pizza.
It was cut ketchup and mustard.
I can only get so hard, Tony.
Yeah. So like, I kept doing all this stuff, and like the whole thing was like, you know.
Can you
earlier
add
on,
lobster?
Seth was just like, look, this is your job. Like, hook the food up, make sure the food looks great, because without you, people
Sloppy Joe pizza
are gonna leave, you know. So, and like during that time, like Seth and I just got along really well, and you know, a lot of the guys there just didn't really care about nuance like that. You know, it was just like it was a party bar. We're having a great time, this and that, which. You know, Seth's great at that too, but
they can coexist.
He was starting to get into cocktails. He was following around Ted Kilgore. He's the reason why I know Ted. But me and him just kind of like got into it at the same time. And he would come up with these cool ideas, and then Seth would come up with these cool ideas and then bounce it off me, and I'd make fun of this or that, and he'd get offended, and then like he would try something different or tell me to go fuck myself. I don't know what I'm talking about. But then like I would try to come up with something else. And then like behind the bar there was a Mr. Boston's bar book.
Classic. Is that in the bartender's black book? I remember. Yeah.
And we would just fucking skim through it and make a drink, and they were all terrible. And we never understood.
You don't
why.
like your rusty nail?
Rusty nails are alright. Just most of those old drinks, though. I mean, they're old grandpa drinks, you know, and they just never.
Well, nobody.
Play a balance or
There
anything.
wasn't like an interest in that level. Like there's obviously a large period of time.
Yeah, we didn't.
that we weren't
just
having
didn't
a huge
understand
interest in it.
But
What the hell is a rusty nail?
Drambuie and Scotch equal parts.
Generally, yeah, I'd say there's a lot of blended Scotch seemed to be the preference
Yeah.
at the time.
Ask Kate.
That's our producer's fake girlfriend.
That's a rusty trombone.
That's a pegging
She's
joke.
got a Russian email. It's totally believable.
She calls her Peg the rusty nail. All right, Tony. Anyway, keep going.
But
Feels good, bro.
but
Ooh.
in a way, I think Seth and I just kept pushing each other, and like he was like my buddy to like hang out and drink, and like we would talk about what we're drinking, you know, and
Terrible producer. Not good at this. Pause.
and then you know, eventually like I just caught a big passion for it, and you know they moved me out of the kitchen because I was just getting super involved with everything, and you know I was like working there, and then Seth moved over to Eclipse, and I followed him over there, and then him and I were working on the cocktail menus there, and it was like pretty much that was my spot where like let's try everything, you know.
Yeah.
And like that's really like how I learned to make cocktails and keep going that way, you know.
And it maintained. I mean, Eclipse was a place for people to go and learn. I mean, there have been some great bartenders. I know Charlie Martin came from Eclipse. I know Jack Cook did some stuff over there.
You said great bartenders? I'm joking. I'm joking.
I love you, boy. I love you, Jack. No, but I know you're talking about. There were names. There were names.
No,
there were brands. And Jack's great. And Jack's a staple. Although it was hilarious because my first day at Bull Rush, Jack was on his way out to go to Fortune Teller, which is a great place, and I was kind of on my way in, and we were working on cocktails, and he had asked. He didn't know me from Adam, and I'm so new here, so like I get it. But he did. My first day, he did ask if he was like, "Oh man, I really like the Flavor Bible when I'm trying to make drinks." It's like, yeah. I feel like a lot of Flavor Bible's a great book, but I feel like it's a known book. So it's
Yeah.
But
I swear
he's
by it,
like I said, he gives it's great. I like the Flavor Matrix, I like the Flavor Bible. But no, like I said, the guy clearly cares about what he's doing. He's probably one of the few bartenders that's even asked me about that book outright.
Yeah. No, he cares. He's very aggressive. You know, but there's been a lot of really great bartenders that's passed through there, you know, and I was able to learn what I could from Lucas Ramsey, who goes in and out of bartending in retirement, and learned a shit ton from Seth, and just really like I learned more than that. The biggest thing I think I took from there was like what kind of person I wanted to be in this industry, because the Joe Edwards bar world is like a lot of shit got by. Like it's not anything against like any of the places or anything like that, but Blueberry Hill developed a culture, and that's how it was. Also, you have to remember Blueberry Hill was made in the fucking 70s, so
No, I mean bar culture, like what you're about to like talk about. I mean that's place to place dependent.
So like there's a part of it where you work your dick off, and then you get there, and then once you're top dog, like you have other people to do the work for you, you know. And there was a lot of like experiences of I'm gonna fuck off because now I have other people working under me that are gonna carry the weight, you know. And like when I was in it, I never cared about it, but like seeing like how it affects morale and stuff like that, I always wanted to do better. But that attitude got passed on to me and Seth's bosses, and me and Seth's bosses took other managers on, and it passed on to them, and Seth and I both dealt with that shit, you know. And it just was like, I'm going to do the right thing, and I want to run bars, not because so much like the cocktails are like the easiest part of it, you know? Like once you get your system going and you keep doing it enough, you get like a good
No, it's super hard, bro. Shut up. This is the hardest. We're the most talented.
you know, like once you start building like
Come
a
at us.
style out of it, you know, it's pretty, you know, that's like the least of your problems, you know, because then
It's bigger than that.
the human equivalent of it is huge, you know, and just how to deal with like day-to-day problems like that come up when you're running a hotel bar that has 3 bars in it, you know, and sometimes you're the only manager on the floor.
It's not about the drinks. It's about you're managing people's
It's the whole thing,
schedules,
man.
personal lives, and you're dealing with a sect of individuals that might seem on the surface a bit more dramatic than the average human.
One thing Joe Edwards always said to me, or said to everyone, always.
And who's Joe Edwards? Give us the like if he was going to be known for something, Joe Edwards.
How keen is that timer?
We're only 5 seconds into this. God damn.
No, it
Oh,
goes the other
it's
way.
counting down is backwards. All right.
When it hits 0, just kind of.
Oh, okay.
Well, now it's going off.
So Joe Edwards,
True Hollywood story.
Joe Edwards is a city developer in the Loop.
Oh, okay. Is this guy responsible for Streetcar?
You know that.
I don't know that, but I'm trying to put the pieces together. Is
Oh, yeah.
that true? Okay.
Yeah. You didn't know that?
No, I know somebody of that description was,
Yeah.
and again, you got to realize I'm a transplant. I love
got
St.
you.
Louis and I consider it my hometown, but I have not been privy to all this.
That was a streetcar.
All right.
So,
Named a fire. I mean, no. They should.
anyway, I'll finish it up right after these messages. So yeah, Joe Edwards, right?
Yeah, like who is this Joe Edwards? Seems to have a lot of influence in the bar industry at that time.
Well, he developed Blueberry Hill, and I think he was he just got back. He graduated from Duke, and he got this bar in the Loop, Blueberry Hill, and at that time, Delmar was just kind of ran down, and he almost lost that whole business just trying to clean it up. You know, he was kicking. There was a bunch of biker gangs down there at the time, some drug dealers and stuff like that, and he was just like, "I'm going to run a good, clean business, and that's how it's going to go." But I mean, this is fucking.
I'm sorry, we're fucking boring you. This isn't your 3-hour story. What the hell you're yawning about?
I was catching my breath.
I bet you were. God, it's true.
But you know, he did that, and then he ended up buying the Tivoli Theater because he knew that was going to close down. And then, like, pretty much his whole life's work has been preserving the Loop, and he did a pretty damn fucking good job of it until the streetcar thing came. Streetcar was kind of a blunder, but you know,
There's always a comeback. I was
nobody's
just curious. You brought up the name a few times. I was like,
nobody's
seems
bad in a
important.
thousand. But anyway, Joe, I consider him a good friend, and you know, at one point, he was definitely a mentor to me. Like, he's a smart guy, and he was somebody who, you know, he believed he would see it before anyone else could see it. You know, and have a vision, and then he would do everything in his power to make it actually materialize. And
You need leaders in the neighborhoods like that, or they don't become
absolutely.
neighborhoods. I mean, it's just like the Grove here. We, constantly look to people to help develop it.
I took a lot from him, and I'm still to this day really happy to know him, and I'm happy that, you know, even now, because I called him whenever COVID first hit, and to just kind of like, for one, like kind of get an idea of like how he's doing and like what he's thinking and what's going on. And when shutdowns start happening, I just kind of wanted to hear what other people in the restaurant business are going through. And he's just a very generous, sincere person. And you know, I was really blessed to work to make my way up through there, despite all the, you know, all the indifferences that I have with the business model. But it's an old business, and it very much needs updating, and it's just not the easiest thing to do, you know. But definitely got my cocktail gills at Eclipse, and then I even ran a blog for them, and I would show like how I'd make different things, like how I would make smoked tequila or how this drink was made and stuff like that. So I got into like the marketing side of things, and pretty much just like developed it. And after that, I got to a point where I couldn't go any higher, and I was kind of stuck for a while. So I ended up leaving, and I thought I was going to end up working at a different bar. And my third to last day at Eclipse, my buddy called me, said that he forfeited his ownership to that bar, and I'm leaving also with him. So for the first time since I was 14, I didn't have a job. So then I worked at every fucking bar I could, and I just picked up shifts at Sanctuary, I picked up shifts at Layla, I picked up shifts at pretty much any bar that would take me in, and I just kind of watched what everyone else was doing and saw what they did, realized that there's no such thing as right or wrong, and everyone makes their own rules up anyway. And then I ended up landing at Layla and just fucking flexed as hard as I could, and that's where I ended up at, you know. And then everything else is a whole other story.
Not to be left out is this man was actually a James Beard nominated bartender,
Not really.
which wasn't even like
That's
a
not worth
category.
mentioning.
I know it doesn't mean anything. Awards mean nothing. Everything is pointless. But that's a pretty big deal. I'd be into it.
Not when the guy who signs your checks is the one who makes you nominated.
Hey, nomination's a nomination, and
It's
as
not-
far as I've heard, it's an honor just to be nominated. So, raise your hand if you've not been nominated. Oh, you've been nominated? Oh, okay.
I'll nominate you.
Doesn't
I
even
hereby
matter
nominate
anymore.
Andy Prenti.
That's right. Fish sauce margarita. You heard it here.
All right, Andy, give us your backstory.
Well, it doesn't involve knives or sleeping on floors as often, but I did sleep on a lot of floors. I don't know. I got out of the Marine Corps and was doing door guy business in
Yeah,
Virginia.
I didn't get fucking shot at either. So
So I don't have to talk.
Trade
so,
knives for bullets.
So I did door guy stuff at this really cool bar in Williamsburg, Virginia, called the Greenleaf Cafe. And although it was just outside of William and Mary College of, it was kind of cool. Like you had this like somewhat military or Irish Scottish crowd, and you had senators' kids that were going to William and Mary, all going in here. But really, really fun crowd. I mean, it could have been really stuck up, but obviously ran into college bar stuff, but whatever. Over time, I had asked about being a bartender, and because I'd heard about how much they were making, it was really a money thing initially. I was getting paid like $3 an hour to clean bathrooms and check IDs, and then I asked my buddy Nate, what he makes in a night, and it's an absurd amount. This is prior to 2008, so it was still gigantic money. And it was all these rich kids. It was nuts. And so I spent 2 years at that bar backing, so schlepping trash down just this like 40-foot decline pavement thing. Like the bottoms of our trash cans were ripped, so everything just dripped on you. Learning how to stock everything, memorizing labels, getting hazed. But after about a little over 2 years, I get my first daytime shift, and I think I spent the whole day cutting lemons. They don't have a day. There's nothing going on in the day there. But I was super stoked that I finally felt like I'd made it. And so I did a few weeks of that before leaving Virginia. Went to Cincinnati, or just outside of, and started working at a Frisch's Big Boy. It was unfortunate to also look like the mascot while working at that restaurant. Are you familiar with the burger joint? It's kind of like it's a little bit like Steak and Shake, except they put tartar
it's like
sauce.
Shoney's.
Yeah, no buffet, but it's like a Shoney's feel. They got ice cream. It's a drive-through. I got a job doing short order stuff on a grill, which I actually took a lot of pride in at one point. Like I got really good at that.
That was one job I always wanted that I never got.
Oh man, like just me and this other guy Keith. I remember he just got out of the Navy, so we bonded, and then he had like the drive-through station, which didn't count to us. Like they weren't real. Like they were real. Like we just didn't consider them. So I spent like probably a year and a half trying to get a bar job while doing short order cooking. eventually I ended up back in my hometown of Springfield, Missouri, where I ran a club called Tonic Ultra Lounge. And although it sounds ridiculous, we did really well. Like 3 years I worked there. It was my first GM job. I was 24 at the time. Like I was young and like killing it out there. Like, we did a really good job, objectively. And then that gave me the confidence. I started thinking about going to bigger markets. Like, because again, what I had learned, unfortunately, through a chef that worked there named Kevin Sparks, he introduced me to a bartender named Ted Kilgore. And that's when I became aware of him. At the time, he was working at, it was a place called
Monarch?
No, that was here. He was actually in Springfield, Missouri.
Yeah.
So it was, he did the Romeo and Juliet bar in Bajans, and then he also did this other place. It was like something, the Bodega, I forget. It was above the Grario, this Blue Lounge. Anyway, I do forget the name of the bar. But like watching him in a sauce article, flaming orange peel, like you want to talk about I can't get any harder. Like I was just like, what? I'm used to making, flipping out Mick Ultras and doing vodka tonics, double limes.
You remember practicing how to flame an orange?
Oh, yeah. And I got yelled at by every flame source I ever had. You got to use wooden matches. Okay. If your bar is busy and wet, like I love that Jim Meehan's approach to a bar is understand that everything's getting wet. Like build your bar to know that it's just
torches. Are
so
the best thing
yeah, I
ever.
started using Bics or torches, and we're like, well, you got to use a wooden match. I'm like, it's impractical. Like, you ever work in a bar that's busy? So first thing I wanted to do was make. I turned on to cachaça and wanted to do a caipirinha, and took me probably like, I don't know, 4 or 5 months to feel like I'd gotten kind of good. I would take people's stories. They'd been going on vacation to Brazil a lot at the time. This was like 08, 09, seemed like a destination at the time. So they would come back and ask for freaking caipirinhas in Springfield, Missouri, and I had no idea what that was.
It was just a super popular drink for a while.
It just, blew
Came
up.
out of nowhere. It was weird because then like it just went away.
Yeah, and then now people, like, I still feel like it's a lost art now. Nobody's had to go through the granulated sugar and like there's a whole art to this drink. But anyway, like trying to do the Ted Kilgore thing and up my craft and learn this drink, I learned that I needed a different audience than the Ultra Lounge. So I moved up to St. Louis. I was dating a girl at the time that was working up here as well. That's when he was at Monarch and was actually actively looking for an apprentice. So me, grossly underqualified, decides to apply. And then that was when TJ Victal, I always forget how to say his last name.
Who gives a fuck?
But he got the apprenticeship, and they did Monarch. And I remember nerding out to it a little bit. I managed the Bar Louie up here on the Central West End as the bar manager for a while. It wasn't until I got to Cello at the Four Seasons where Adam Frager worked. That's as close to a mentor as I've ever had. He actually did take the time. He's amazing. Like I said, I've never had a true mentor, but for the year and a half that I worked with him, he was the one that took the time to teach me whether it was a hard process or easy process. He gave me true knowledge about what I was doing, introduced me to people. And that was the Ted Kilgore program at the time. I didn't know that till later. So after leaving there, when he left to go open Blood and Sand, we kind of lost leadership. I went on my own route. Ended up back in Springfield for a little bit, helping a distillery, working on a couple concepts, figuring kind of myself out. And then 4 years ago, I moved back to St. Louis after a stint in Kansas City, which was nice. But I think that's where, like, because all of that was kind of the same. I was still trying to do craft bartending, but I think I was still learning, like, you do in a craft, you imitate. Like, I hadn't really found a voice yet at all. And then I came here and saw the state that Sanctuary was in. They were looking for a bar manager. It has a huge history, good history for the most part. And I felt like that would be a really great mission to have. And I think that's being left alone with a pretty decent budget, but you're the leadership, you're in charge. I think that's where I started to grow and kind of find my own voice and my own style. And like you said, everybody makes up their own rules. The rules don't matter. You spend so much time trying to do the right thing that people just want originality, and learning to balance profiles the name of the game. And that led, 3 years there, I guess, a little over, and did a short stint at Mission Taco before ending up at Bull Rush, which is a huge opportunity for me, getting to learn how to do the foraging thing and working under Rob Conley, who's intense but incredibly knowledgeable and he cares so much about what he does and the history about what he does. Kind of taught me to slow down and not just produce recipes, but try to find a story, like have a root to the idea that you're working on, not just throwing things together all the time. And ended up at Chow Bon, which It's been great. It's a small but industrious bar, and it's I've got a really great staff here, and it's doing the COVID challenge, so it's back into to-go cocktails and really learning like how to market. Like we said earlier, bars are really about the people, and so when you take away that, it's not really just about cocktails. So how to try to find community in a to-go world has been very difficult. But I think a lot of us, like with things like this, you have to, I mean, it's just a whole different model that nobody was prepared to try. Right. And I don't know how long it will last, but it feels like it's going to be part of forever at this point. But I mean, like I said, things are opening up and stuff. I've seen a lot more action here. We're still very safe and spaced out in what we do, but people are at least coming in the doors and starting to try to be part of that community again. Again, we have to regulate that. I wish we didn't have to, and we just have to be careful. But and for the most part, people are pretty respectful. I would say in St. Louis, like I don't have a lot of issue with no maskers or bad eggs here and there. But yeah, I mean. That's a short version of the story, I guess. Like, there's obviously little stories here and there, but I don't know. Like, there was such like a 6-year gap of me just working on the craft that, there's little stories, and I got to learn, who various high-profile people in the industry were. But I just consider that the learning time. It hasn't been until recently that I feel like I have something to offer voice-wise, and that's my story. No knives. I need a knife now. I want a knife story. I stabbed myself with a knife once. It's right there.
So what's our last segment going to be?
They say if we're going to wrap that up. Coming up next, Truth or Malort?
Truth or bear?
Truth. Oh, yes. It's coming up next. Truth or bear? Coming up next, Truth or bear? I'm going to give you all kinds of samples here.
Yeah.
So, my favorite part of this, outside of the storytelling, which is amazing, and the stories are what keeps us going. And the final segment is going to be Truth or Bear, which is going to be Truth or Dare. If you didn't, So, we're going to ask Zach some questions he may feel mildly uncomfortable answering.
Oh, this is fucking...
And if he doesn't want to answer, he doesn't have to. We're not going to put him on the spot.
Where's my agent?
His out will be one shot of Malort.
Oh, fuck.
Malort, it's Scandinavian nature. It's a little dry, I think. It's not pleasurable, but it is, I guess, part of cocktail culture currently, at least. So, 5 questions.
Okay.
So you only have to take 5 shots total. Only. Because I'm assuming you're not going to want to answer any of these. We'll start off with a softball question.
I haven't
Only
seen
5
these,
shots.
All right, yeah, nobody knows. I felt bad if I was going to share the questions. So what type of Broncos underwear, boxers, or pajamas have you owned in your life?
None.
That's an honest answer?
Yeah.
It's fucking debit cards, Broncos. I assumed you had underwear. That was it? All right. That was softball. Don't worry about it. All right. So name one account on Instagram that you guys have blocked.
Oh. Shit.
It's there just in case. Gave you a hard time, maybe. Maybe they showed a little bit too many nipples.
God damn it.
It's also Malort. You already got out of 1. That's pretty good. I'm surprised.
I'll take the shot.
All right. Even after a few drinks, this man decides to take the shot.
I had no idea.
Phenomenal. I thought he was going to tell me not 1. Oh, I'm sorry, sir.
Excuse me, there's some left in there.
Fuck you guys.
Thank you.
How is that? Could you explain?
Yeah, tell us what you're tasting. How you feel?
Let me know what you're going through.
I mean, so I kind of like Malort. Like, it started to grow on me.
Created a monster.
It still
Yeah.
tastes like rotten artichokes to me, though.
It's very
I feel like I'm chewing up sassafras.
leather. Yeah.
Like I'm in like Southern California. And
All right,
eating
next
the brush.
question.
I like
Can I get some water in this challenge or no?
No, that doesn't feel right. So,
Oh, God.
next question. What's the most amount of money you've spent on a tequila or guilty pleasure spirit?
Oh, I'll answer this one. It doesn't have to be tequila.
I mean, we'd like to keep it on brand, but yeah, what's the
Yeah.
most like? If you've got like something outrageous, that's what I want to hear.
No, I'd
That's what
probably.
they want to hear.
Oh well, that's not cool. Probably Clase Azul Reposado, $125.
I can give you a 6 out of 10 on that. It's nothing. It's 0.
That's good.
I don't have to buy
Agree
tequila.
to disagree. I don't have to buy tequila. Okay. Yeah,
I think
no.
that's great.
I saw the other part.
Can you answer that?
The most I've ever spent?
Yeah.
Um,
Truth or bear.
it's true. I will tell you the most I ever spent wasn't
I
necessarily
thought you were gonna ask me my
monetary.
highest bar tab, which I would be a little embarrassed about.
Oh no, I have that too. But no.
Well,
like,
you've done
so-
bowel service, haven't you?
Yeah, you had to.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that counts. Like, what's the
Yeah.
most you've spent? A guilty pleasure. What is it?
Well, it's not a guilty pleasure. That was a night that got away from us.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
what
a-
have you spent on a night that
that's-
got away from you?
That's
Couple grand.
Yeah, yeah.
Couple grand. No, I want to. What do you remember the tab being?
I
You
don't remember the
tab. Yeah, you do.
That was the
I
problem.
remember Bryce yelling at me the next day.
The most I've ever had to pay for a
Oh, it was
shot.
a company expense?
Oh, even better. What? Who said that?
Well, I didn't say that.
I know.
Jeez, Tony.
Now, most I've ever had to pay.
Why
was
would Bryce yell at you for spending your own money?
He's a founder.
Yeah.
He's a founder, not an owner.
I don't know. I don't spend a lot of money on booze because I don't know, like, if it
I didn't mean
gets
like that,
upwards.
No,
No, if it gets upwards of a couple $100, like, I don't. If I don't know it, I don't.
I just feel
don't know
like
if I
out
wanna
in your
spend it.
travels, you may have been in a position.
Oh, that's cool. There's just a spider.
It's Mr. Spider.
Oh, what the
He's
fuck?
like, you guys aren't usually here at this time.
Yeah, he's like, we're crowded in on him.
That's pretty dope.
All right, so you got out of 2, 3. What's next? All right. What's your least favorite account to deal with in St. Louis?
Chow Bond.
That's objectively not true. We're right here doing this. That's a cop out. That's a cop out. Like, what bar do you like? Okay, I gotta have my product in there because I gotta have my product in there. But like, I am not like. Every time they call me or want to
There's
do
no
something
way
with
he's
me,
gonna-
I'm
he's not
just
gonna
like, these guys are the worst.
I don't know if I have one.
I think you have one.
Actually, he checked on a couple accounts that he was like, absolutely no fucking way. And they weren't in there. So, I mean, like, I kind of believe him.
So there are. And I'll probably take your.
No, I just look
Shitty shot.
You didn't have to.
But then you get
name a
the
name.
accounts. You get the accounts that. Oh God, I'm burping just trying this
fucking
shit.
Stalin. Let's call him Joseph.
Hey, listen.
Yeah, where they bring us in, but the owner just wants it, right? So it doesn't go on the back bar. You come in, you're like, "Hey, I saw you brought us on." Oh yeah, the owner just likes tequila. He just drinks it and takes it home. Oh, well that's not cool.
It's not exactly what you were looking for.
Yeah.
A purchase is a purchase, I guess.
Yeah, but there's no longevity in that either.
Right.
But
So I have to take a shot for that.
No, I feel like you answered.
No, you
the
answered
question.
it. You're
okay. All right.
All right, least favorite tequila brand on the market.
Oof. Least favorite tequila brand on the market.
we already shit all over Patron anyway.
Yeah, so I want the Patron's a cop out.
Sorry, Patron. If you're interested in sponsoring Two Bears, One Bar,
Herradura. think
email us at info, Two Bears,
Yeah.
One Bar.
I think Herradura is
We believe in
overpriced.
second chances.
Herradura is overpriced. Quality sucks. And then they try to get in the celebrity game where Emmett Smith does a Cristalino and all this other bullshit.
You were a lot more open than I was hoping for. All right.
No, Herradura.
It's easy to shit on other competitors.
Man, but when you own,
Especially
when
when-
you're a founder of a brand, I feel like you like to play nice.
Yeah, but
No.
there's an issue with spirits in general. I mean, it's
Absolutely.
kind of like our whole pitch about it. It's like the lack of integrity, the lack of like actual.
Since we have some Allure, can we turn the tables here?
Actually, yeah.
Yeah, I don't see why not.
How many more do you have left? Do you have any more questions?
That was it. I like to go 5.
Bring
He
it back.
answered 4 of the 5. I don't know what to say. Yeah, I'll try harder, I guess.
All right, so it looks like we've got one of each here.
Here, let me finish this.
And
I'll use this one.
Oliver can do a shot too.
I mean, you say that.
No, I can't.
Do 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 do
I can't say favorite because
You can say whatever you
That would be a
want.
fun answer. What, Andy, the most overhyped restaurant in St. Louis?
Oh.
Just learn to play nice with people. Most overhyped restaurant in town.
And we'll go food based.
Just overall.
Yeah, just overall.
Overall. Trying to think of a time I was like truly disappointed, like, because I don't guess I have a problem answering that. It's been a while, I guess, so I'm trying to think back.
Twisted Ranch.
You know what? No, it wasn't any time recently. But originally, when Taste and Niche were on over by Sydney Street Cafe in Soulard, I walked out after having a reservation. I love everybody that runs those companies. My experience was so pretentious and terrible at the time. This had to be like 2014. So at the time, I felt it was very overrated for what it was. I don't know, like right now, I think Indo gets a lot more than maybe.
Really?
I don't know, they're great. I get confused.
How many times have you eaten there?
None?
Oh.
I guess.
Pretty good, honestly.
Dude.
I mean, that's what I said. Like, I mean, if I had to
Dude.
guess, overrated.
No. It's
Not at all?
Dude.
And that's partially because I'm not like the biggest fish guy, so it's also
Dude,
super
it's
unfair.
fucking fantastic.
I'm gonna take a Malort just for bashing somebody I've never been to.
Dude, the
I
way
love the idea, Nick Bogner. I watch his social media. I don't know him personally, but
the way fucking
awesome.
Nick makes those plates, it's like us making drinks. Like,
I believe that
He's-
coming from you guys.
dude, I've never.
I don't know. I've never been there.
Dude.
It was pretty fun.
The barman who is irrelevant now.
every dish is an experience. It's incredible.
I need to go. To be fair,
I would say
Granted, it's
Don't buy the crab.
expensive as
Don't grab-
fuck,
Shh,
but
stop.
it's really good.
don't buy the crab rice. Save your money.
Very good.
That's the only thing I would say about
Very
it.
good.
That's the only negative thing
All
I
right.
would say.
So now I've got one for Tony.
Oh, I'm out of a shot. Hell yeah.
I don't know.
The most overrated metal band in St. Louis.
Oh, in St. Louis?
Yeah.
I like how he tries to get to the heart of what you don't want to say.
I only,
I want to see you take a
See,
shot
there's
of the
no
Lord.
good answer. Just take the fucking shot.
I honestly only know a couple
Take
metal
the
bands in St. Louis.
I think I'm only
Yes.
friends with the good ones. That's the only thing.
Oh, that is
Like Broken Youth is really good.
No, so I'm trying to think of the
So
ones.
the only ones I'd stab him in the neck anyway.
No, I'm trying to think of the ones that like I'm like, yeah, those guys suck anyway. So fuck their music, fuck those people. But
Fuck their music, fuck those people.
quite honestly, I mean, like I haven't been subjected to it.
I mean, you're talking to a guy that hugs people for a living. I feel like you're not gonna.
No, I got
Oh, he's so nice. He doesn't hate anybody.
New
People
question.
hate
New
me.
question. New
No.
question. New question.
Who do I hate?
No. The person you least look forward to hugging.
Yeah, it could be for like VO reasons. It could be because like they don't hug well. Like some people are like terrible to hug. They feel like just, ugh.
Does anyone know Antoine?
No.
No.
I know a Antoine.
So there's a character here, Antoine, really familiar in the metal scene. Actually, I like hugging him now. You know,
We're gonna have to rethink this game. This is beta. All right, work with us. We're gonna find
I really think
Achilles heel of making Malort
I really think
real.
this game should just be like, if you don't want to answer a question at all times, you just drink Malort.
Well, everybody, thanks for joining for our first podcast. 2 Bears, 1 Bar. I'd like to thank our guest, Zach Conley, for coming in and filling most of our content. Don't forget, sponsored by Scofflaw Times, which is going to have quite a few new podcasts and different lifestyle versions of those podcasts coming out. Cigars and Cars, and our sister podcast, Drink Bourbon, Wear Lipstick, will be coming out soon enough. Look for us weekly. And again, a big thanks to Una Vida and Tony for being here. Big thanks to me for, keeping it real. And thanks to Oliver for keeping us on track.
And most importantly, thanks to the people who spend the time listening to this. This is truly something really cool that we get to do, and it is completely meaningless without you guys. So thank you so much.
And whatever platform you are seeing it on, be sure to like, subscribe, share with your friends, help us rise in those rankings. Yeah, that's what you're supposed to say. Look out for T-shirts.
And you can find us at 2 Bears, the number 2 Bears, 1 bar. So we like numbers. So 2 Bears, 1 bar. All numerical content when it applies. And then reach out to us also at info@2bears1bar.com. And that's all I got.
Yeah.
Until
thanks
next.
to viewers like you.
Yeah. Until next time, drink well and, keep on going.
And no matter what platform you're listening to us on,
Be sure to like, subscribe, and share the bear.